Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hungry dogs run faster, right, Johnny? That's how we're going to start the show.
No, we aren't.
I'm just kidding. But the line has come out, obviously, for Super Bowl 59 between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're going to base this show off of the line, which has the Eagles as slight underdogs. Fair? Unfair? We'll discuss it. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade Salciunas.
NFC champions for the second time in 3 years, led by Nick Sirianni. This season is one that we will forever remember.
They did it again, and the dream of New Orleans is on, and your Birds are NFC champions.
Kincade Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Tuesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. John, you don't like me quoting Jason Kelce? We haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, we haven't heard from him. It's like he went into hibernation.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since
we
we've
have
heard
no idea. Where is Jason
Kelce at all?
Where is Jason Kelce? I never hear from him anymore. Never see him on a commercial. Shaq thinks he has too many commercials right now. That's where you know you're in trouble. When Shaquille tells you, you're a little overexposed. I love it.
I love that. That's a good line. All right, so the Eagles are 1.5-point dogs going into Super Bowl 59. Now, we're not basing this show off of betting. We're not. This isn't like a Jalen Hurts. What will his over or under be? Like, this isn't.
No, we're going to do that like next week, though.
Yeah, we'll do our. Trust me, we're going to do our picks on the Friday before the Super Bowl. But basically, what we're basing the line off of is the fact that the people that do the line setting, the people that know a lot about both of these teams, right? We know how impactful Vegas is and how close they are on pretty much everything. Do they miss things every once in a while? They do. But they're pretty accurate when it comes to a lot of the lines that are set for props, over-unders, and games. And so they have the Eagles as the underdog. And the question is today, it's 610-632-0975. You can text in, you can call in, is whether or not the Eagles should be looked at as the underdog going into this game. So, John, I'm going to tell you a quick story because you had this topic for us yesterday. We always do the promo after the show ends for the next day's show, just so we have an idea because, when you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes the brain's still a little foggy.
It can be. Yes,
so sometimes you have to prep the day before. And so yesterday, it's trash night at the Salciunas neighborhood, taking the trash cans out. And my neighbor across the street, they always have the same people over for every Eagles game. It's awesome. So I go, hey, did you have fun last night? And he goes, yeah, man, it was a blast. It was a blast. It was a blast. But I got to tell you, I wish it was the Bills, man. And my first thought was, oh, what, like because of the Eagles fan, Bills fan? No. I think they handled the Bills. I don't know about this one. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that it's the Monday after the NFC Championship game, and he's already kind of like,
oh, boy.
I don't know about this one. But that is somebody's immediate feel that they are going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that's looking for their third straight Super Bowl victory.
Great pedigree.
Patrick Mahomes, GOAT. Andy Reid, GOAT.
Correct.
Head coach. Spags, maybe considered GOAT defensive coordinator for all we know. I mean, this guy.
I don't think that's the case, but I mean, he's been really, really good for a long time.
And he does a lot with a little because you know how much money goes to the Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes and that contract. But there are people that had that immediate reaction of, damn, I think they could have beaten the Bills. We'll see. He didn't say they're going to lose. He said, I just felt a lot more comfortable about Buffalo than Kansas City.
All right. If you want to live your life that way, I guess people can do that, live their lives scared. I have no idea why somebody would look at this matchup and say, yeah, I'm worried about Kansas City, other than all the things you mentioned. Patrick Mahomes, if this game's tied late, he's got the magic right in his back pocket and he can get it done. But has anybody ever had better magic than Tom Brady?
Right.
We saw Tom Brady in a game where he had a chance with the New England Patriots to beat an Eagles team. Sometimes the GOATs lose. Sometimes they go down the tubes. The Eagles are better offensively. The Eagles are better defensively. The Eagles take the ball away more than Kansas City. There are so many reasons to look at these two teams and say, you know what? The Eagles are the better team. But history would tell you that the Kansas City Chiefs are just really, really hard to beat
Right,
in
there's
this
pedigree.
situation.
And look, we gave the same respect to Sean McVay and Matt Stafford just
Absolutely.
two rounds ago. Like, hey, the Eagles are the better team. The Eagles are the team that should win this football game. But obviously, you have to keep a slight eye on Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. But how'd it play out? The Eagles won the game. It got close. It got dicey toward the end there, obviously. But the Eagles end up winning that game, and then they handle the Commanders in the NFC Championship game by putting up 55 points. I don't expect the Eagles to put up 55 points against Kansas City.
I certainly do not.
But I don't see why this team should not be able to score in the high 20s once again, as they've been doing throughout the entire playoffs at this point. And I'll be honest, when my neighbor said that yesterday, man, I wish it was the Bills. We talked about this on Friday, I believe. And it sounds crazy. My preference was the Chiefs. I think the Bills are a more well-rounded team. I believe the Chiefs have much bigger and better pedigree, and they have the better quarterback, and they have the better head coach.
Always good when you throw out a duh early in the show. That always works well.
The overall Bills team, I thought, was better than the overall Chiefs team.
I'm looking at a Chiefs team that, their best game of the year was last week, as far as offensively, scoring 32 points. They hit the 30-point mark twice. This isn't an offensive juggernaut Chiefs team. This isn't a Chiefs team who goes out there and just physically imposes their will on people and lights up the scoreboard. This is a Chiefs team that wins tight games, and that's a quality to admire.
Absolutely.
But to me, when I look at it, the Eagles are the better offensive team, and despite Spags, the Eagles are the better defensive team in this matchup.
Yeah, no, by the way, Steve Spagnuolo, all the credit in the world. I got Vic Fangio. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Spags deserves all the respect. I have a lot of respect for him. But I got Vic Fangio.
But people are going to say to you that Vic Fangio has never beaten Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
0-8. And that Vic Fangio...
So there's a lot of guys that have that record against Patrick Mahomes.
But what I'm going to look at is, did Vic Fangio ever have this? Vic Fangio had an overmatched Denver Bronco defense trying to shut down Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
There's a huge difference between what he's got here and what he had there.
Right. We talked about this yesterday. Vic Fangio deserves a ton of credit for
He's
the
fantastic.
Eagles defense, the
Yes.
turnaround they had. But let's also not ignore the fact that they got great talent. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, great talented rookies that changed the way this defense played right away. It's a combination of both defensive coordinator and talent. And the Eagles defense has a lot of talent. So our question for you to start the show, 610-632-0975. Should the Eagles actually be looked at as the, let's just say it, the lesser team in this game against the Kansas City Chiefs? Now, Connor, you, like John and I, questioned Brendan Gunn's opinions for a long time about the Chiefs dynasty and how it's done and how they're going to lose their first playoff game, and they're back in the Super Bowl. And we kind of expected that. Did you expect to see the Eagles considered the underdog in this matchup?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you can't argue with history. That's just reality of the situation. Like, the Chiefs are monsters. They're the Patriots of yesteryear. They are that exact team once again. The Eagles were dogs in that Super Bowl, even though they played an outstanding NFC Championship game against Minnesota. Like, this is what happens when you play Mahomes. I wouldn't be surprised if this dude, every time he makes the Super Bowl for the rest of his career, was never a dog again. Because how do you justify putting them as not the favorites? They're going for something that no other franchise has ever accomplished in winning 3 straight in the history of the league. So, yeah, they're a great team. Now, some of that is built on reputation. Some of that is built on they have been here before. And there is validity to that. But it doesn't mean that the Eagles can't go win this game. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the Eagles aren't the better team on paper.
I look at it and I say this, Connor. I think you make a good point there. The Chiefs beat Baltimore. They beat them at home. The Eagles beat Baltimore at Baltimore and stomped them.
Yeah.
Chiefs survived, and if Baltimore puts a tap down, they beat them. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals at home. They snuck by them by 1 point. The Eagles stomped them in Cincinnati. There are things that you look at and you say, you know what? The Eagles should be the better team. But, as you point out, how do you pick against the Kansas City Chiefs as the favorites.
And look, I think that's what it comes down to
For
with the
America.
line. And I understand
Remember, these
it.
lines are set
Yeah.
for everybody.
Right.
They're not set for us.
Right.
They're not set for the people in Kansas City. They're set for the entire country.
So we'd love to hear from you today. It's 610-632-0975. That's our first topic today. Do you view the Eagles as the underdogs, or what's your reaction when Vegas is telling you that the Eagles are the underdogs in this matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs? Coming up next, like I said earlier, I'm not expecting 55 points, Johnny. But this offense should be able to score. And Kurt Warner, who joined us yesterday, weighed in on that. Hear from the Hall of Fame quarterback on whether or not this offense can continue its success against the Kansas City Chiefs defense led by Spags. You'll hear from Kurt Warner. A couple of clips coming your way next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Join 97.5 The Fanatic and Philly sports trips this Thursday at Chickies and Pizza.
97.5, The Fanatic on this Tuesday morning. My God, is it going to be a lot of fun leading up to the Super Bowl? It might be the longest 2 weeks ever, but
I think this is a long week. To me, this is a long week.
yeah,
You know, the week leading up to Super Bowl.
because there's no build up to the game.
Right.
It's just we're reacting to the NFC Championship game, mixing in the content about the Super Bowl, but then it's like, oh yeah, they're not playing for another week. And nobody's really giddy for the Pro Bowl and the flag football game.
It's funny. What made me feel really good yesterday, though, was some people I interacted with. They're already on to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Everybody was still like it was like Sunday night was Sunday night. Everybody's like, one more.
Well, the Eagles players acted that way, which I loved it.
I love it,
I mean,
too.
they were like, yeah.
But they still seemed like they had a lot of fun.
Right, they did. There was a
But-
lot of great video from the locker room.
Yeah.
But the message was, hey, we're not done. Like, let's keep going. And I imagine they got up yesterday morning like, all right, that was a lot of fun last night. Let's start focusing on the big ones.
Well, this is a different fan base, right? This is what number Super Bowl that we've seen in our lifetime, Andrew? 4, 5, 5?
Five, right?
Five
No,
of-
not for
four
you.
appearances.
Four appearances
Yeah.
for you guys.
Yeah, like we're starting to get used to this. We're starting to get used to seeing this team be in this game. So now it's not just, oh my God, we have a chance. It's, yo, let's go win it.
especially this recent era. Like, I know 2017-18, totally different roster and coach and everything, but that's not long ago. That's really not that long ago. And then they were in it 2 years ago with this regime, and now they're back at it. So it's a good point.
I mean, if you
Connor.
think of it as, I have a 21-year-old. She has seen, now she was a baby for the first one. She was a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
But she's seen 4 Super Bowls in her lifetime. We're talking about 21 years as a generation by sort of definition.
Mm-hmm.
So in a generation of Eagles football, they've been to the Super Bowl 4 times.
That's amazing.
That is an incredible performance. And
that didn't happen in your generation
no.
early on.
And by the way, they lost Super Bowls, in time frames too.
Right.
So it's like they lost NFC title games in a time frame
Yeah.
too. It has been an amazing, amazing run since Andy Reid walked through this door.
Yep.
Since Jeffrey Lurie even bought this team, things started to get better. It's been an amazing accomplishment for this franchise.
Absolutely. So yesterday, Kurt Warner joined the show. It was great having him on to talk about the NFC Championship victory. But of course, we talked to him about the next game. And the next game is Eagles-Chiefs on the Super Bowl, February 9th. Here he is talking about how this Eagles offense can score against Kansas City.
I don't have any question that their offense can play and score. Obviously Saquon and their offensive line, you can continue to run the ball the whole game because you can get big plays in the run game as well as the pass game. But I also feel good with the weapons they have on the outside and, Jalen throwing the football. I don't think I want him throwing it 35 to 40 times, but I don't want many quarterbacks doing that. I have full confidence that their offense can score points if they need to, especially playing within the wheelhouse of the things that Jalen does well.
And when he says if they need to, it's like, all right, are we burning clock or do we need to go downfield and score? And I thought they needed to do that against the Commanders. And, early on it kind of seemed that way. And then they just ran away with it, putting up 55 points and holding the Commanders in the 20s. But it was cool to hear from Kurt Warner. And we'll play another clip for you coming up next from him because he believes the running offense and a lot other things will carry over. Hear from Kurt Warner about how he would handle Jalen Hurts and what he would have Jalen Hurts do against the Kansas City defense. So we'll do that coming up next. We'll also talk about Patrick Mahomes in the next segment because John found a trend from the Eagles defense this season against other great quarterbacks. It's Kincade Salciunas on what's going to be another fun week, 2 weeks, damn it,
Gotta
here on
love it.
97.5
97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Super Bowl wait begins. I'm Connor Thomas, and the long wait for the Eagles' preparation for Super Bowl 59 has begun. It's coming up on February 9th from New Orleans, which feels like an eternity from where we are right now. But we can think about what happened in the NFC Championship game still. Jalen Hurts had an outstanding game in the blowout on Sunday, and Kurt Warner joined us yesterday. Talked about how one of the great things about the Eagles is Jalen Hurts doesn't have to carry the team.
He doesn't have to carry this team. He doesn't have to be the guy that makes every play because they're good enough around him. It's exactly why this team is in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
Warner also said it's not that Jalen Hurts can't carry the team. We saw him have a great game on Sunday, and it is the team sport, and the Eagles are obviously bringing a Super Bowl-ready team to New Orleans. The Flyers took down the Devils 4-2 last night. They'll play each other again on Wednesday. The Sixers host the Lakers tonight at 7:30 p.m. You can hear that game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. No Joel Embiid, no Paul George in that one. Jeff McClain of The Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:10. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. At Mercedes-Benz, there's a reason why they go the extra mile, from testing their cars to creating AI that can anticipate drivers' needs on the road. They demand that every car is worthy of their star because they're Mercedes-Benz. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It's time for Birds Playoff Conversation.
on Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Question today for you at 610-632-0975. Should the Eagles actually be viewed as the underdogs in this game? The line came out from Vegas, Eagles 1.5-point dogs. No, we're not doing the hungry dogs run faster, Johnny.
No, we are not.
No dog masks.
No dog masks, none of that crap. We are embracing the fact that we have a great team here. A great young team, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Even though I refuse to look ahead. I just want to look at one game. I don't want to look at next year and everything, but I really want to cash this one in.
Oh, yeah, because then we could
I really want to cash this one in.
Then we could start talking about the D word.
Well,
Dynasty.
yeah.
In case people were confused by what I meant there.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
I want to play one more clip for you from Kurt Warner. And then John noticed a trend when it came to the Philadelphia Eagles defense this year. But in case you're wondering, can the offense carry over from this game against the Commanders to the Kansas City Chiefs? Better defense with Kansas City, not expecting 55 points to be scored. But the way that the Eagles offense played this past game, can it carry over? Here's Kurt Warner, who joined us yesterday, talking about how it can and how he would handle Jalen Hurts when it came to the game planning for the Eagles offense.
The run game is always portable, and the run game will have to be successful in the Super Bowl to be successful. I think the other thing, I love, kind of the movement plays that they did with Jalen, cutting the field in half, and some of those things that can sometimes eliminate, because Spags does a great job of showing you different looks and bringing you different pressures and doing different things like that. So the more that you can kind of, eliminate having to read the whole field and see everything, I think the better it's going to be for Jalen. But the greatest blessing that, the Eagles have is if they can force a team to stack the box and give them one-on-one on the outside, they've got some players that will win in one-on-one battles, starting with AJ. AJ's as good as anybody out there at winning those one-on-one battles and being physical and doing that. And Jalen can, easily make those, because the reads become simpler when it's like, hey, it's AJ one-on-one. Throw it to him. I can throw it, and he can get open, and we can win that way. And so that really, to me, has got to be the formula, is trying to force Kansas City, like everyone else, to stack the box and load the box, because you can still win loading the box, because Saquon can make a guy miss, or you can run away from him, and he's got great vision and explosiveness. But more importantly, it simplifies the pass game, and they have the weapons on the outside, in my opinion, and Jalen can throw the ball well enough, in my opinion, that if you're going to get one-on-one on the outside, they can surely win those battles also.
Isn't it a breath of fresh air to hear just football talk and it not be filled with agenda and
no, he's
take?
great.
That was just analysis.
I think that's all. I think that's sort of all Kurt Warner does.
Yeah, I agree.
Kurt Warner's one of those guys. He's not gonna. Dan Orlovsky's sort of that way too, for the most part.
Yes,
wants to talk about the matchups and the numbers and everything, but they try to do it in an entertaining fashion. I thought you were going to say, isn't that refreshing and interesting to hear the Eagles being talked about as a team where we're going to a big game and everybody's talking about the wideouts being a problem.
Right.
For so long, this franchise has gone to big games. The only time was 2 years ago where we said, man, now we have wide receivers.
We actually have wide receivers, right, yeah.
That, to me, I thought
that's
was
also refreshing.
That's what I thought you were saying.
There was a lot of refreshing drinks in that clip from Kurt
nice,
Warner.
Yes.
So you found a trend. Now let's go to the other quarterback in this battle, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And
who, by the way, is awesome, too.
Yeah, he's
just spectacular.
Baby goat, man. At some point, we can't call him baby goat anymore because he's been in the league for a while. But
by the time he's 32, he may pass Brady.
Yeah, he might.
And
Brady will be on the call for this Super Bowl game for Fox. So that's going to be interesting. What's the trend that you noticed this year, Johnny?
Okay, here's the trend I'm looking at, and it's all about the Eagles' defense. And so if we all work on the premise that this Eagles season turned at the bye week, is that fair?
Yes.
They were 2-2.
I told you. I thought that was the turning point, not even a game.
Jalen Hurts, and by the way, Jalen Hurts getting injured in a game is the only thing. Leaving a game up 14-0 after 11 snaps is the only thing that kept this team from being on a win streak all the way through from that point.
Right.
So I looked at it from there. They played 7 quarterbacks, okay, that are ranked, considered in the top 14 quarterbacks of the NFL.
Is this Chris Canty's list?
There were 14. No, it's not Chris Canty's. We're going to hear that coming up, though. They played 7 quarterbacks that are considered top 14 quarterbacks, statistically ranked. And of those quarterbacks, I picked 14 because 14 teams make the playoffs.
Right.
So I figured that was the good number. They gave up 17 points to Joe Burrow, 19 points to Lamar Jackson, and it was 12 points with a minute to go in the game.
Right.
They gave up 10 points to Jordan Love the second meeting after that bye week. They gave up 20 points to Matt Stafford. They gave up 18, 36, and 23 points to Jaden Daniels in the three matchups, the 36 being the absolute anomaly.
And that was when
the game
Jalen gets hurt.
that Jalen was hurt.
Yep.
In other words, when they're playing top quarterbacks, the top quarterbacks in the game, 17, 19, 10, 20, 18, the 136, 23. If you just take out the 36 when Jalen Hurts plays, this team gives up around 18 points a game when they play the top quarterbacks, the Lamars, the Joe Burrows, the Matt Staffords, the Jordan Loves, and the new flavor of the month, Jaden Daniels, who, by the way, it seemed like a lot of analysts were sort of backing off yesterday.
Yeah, because he's a rookie quarterback.
Oh, he's a rookie. Last week, they were literally shining his shoes, telling us
they were licking his
They were
boots.
like, please, could we just, Mr. Daniels, could we come over here and could we polish those babies up a little bit for you? They were literally kissing the man's backside. The Eagles showed they've got a plan for everybody. And that defense is great. I ask you, though, which plan do they implement in the Super Bowl? The plan that they used against Jaden Daniels? The plan that they used against Lamar Jackson? The plan, like, who?
No,
is there,
I think they're rushing for. And, oh, by the way, with this Chiefs offense, as great as Patrick Mahomes is, they're not typically always taking shots downfield. You watch that Bills game, a lot of throws were underneath, right? Because they have quick receivers like Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown and obviously Travis Kelce, everything that he can do on the field. They do a lot of underneath stuff. They take a shot downfield every once in a while. They have Patrick Mahomes, for crying out loud. They're going to. I think you do a lot of what you just did against Jaden Daniels. And you rush four and you let your back seven do the rest.
Well, the one thing I look at it is this, is that what my takeaway was, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, true.
They can beat Matt Stafford. They can beat Jordan Love. They can beat a mobile Jaden Daniels. They can beat the guy who is a two-time MVP who could have won a third in Lamar Jackson. They can beat you any way they need to play.
They really can.
And I can't wait to see how they decide to play this. The one thing I would say is this, though. This Kansas City offense is a hybrid. This Kansas City offense is not a souped-up, Maserati
Right.
in the left lane. This is a very economical hybrid that knows how to be efficient, score points, do what it takes to win. But this is not trying to shut down some ridiculously aggressive offense.
Right. No. They're very methodical with how they go down the field.
Methodical.
And a lot of it is because of probably the lack of weapons they have. Wow, stop me if you heard that with an Andy Reid offense before. But they just keep on finding ways to win, which is also amazing to the Patrick Mahomes
Truly
point
amazing.
and all the things he's done with his career. But it's an amazing trend. And, man, how different is it from 4 years ago, year one of Jonathan Gannon? Remember any quarterback that was in the top 15 was completing like 80? Remember Derek Carr completed like 85% of his passes against the Eagles just 4 years ago?
Think of the last time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. What was the argument being made against that Eagles team? Well, they're really good defensively. They got a lot of sacks, but they haven't played good quarterbacks.
Right.
This time, you're going to say the Eagles played good quarterbacks.
They've been battle-tested all year.
Oh, and by the way, I'll argue with you that the Eagles played good quarterbacks better than the Kansas City defense played good quarterbacks.
Oh, I love that. Johnny Trends. Johnny Journalist.
Just saying to you there.
Johnny Lawrence.
This is more Nerd Boy.
Who's Johnny Lawrence?
Karate Kid.
Thank you,
Very
Connor.
good.
Damn right, man.
I'm going to have to get Sean Kanan on the show because you're a big fan.
Hell yeah, man.
You're a
All
big
right.
fan.
Coming up next, we'll check our text line for the first time on our conversations today. It's 610-632-0975. Should the Eagles be looked at as the underdog in this matchup? According to Vegas, they say that they are. You just heard John talk about the trend. Does that make you feel better about going up against big bad Patrick Mahomes? And we mentioned the national media and the backtracking. You're going to hear like back stomping coming up next from Chase Daniel. And I have a question off of it for everybody to answer. But you'll hear from Chase Daniel and the back stomping that he did yesterday. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Andrew DeCecco.
You see the maturation of a head coach, but also his willingness to be receptive.
Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. John, now that I'm a father, I'm a softie, right? Like, you
Congratulations.
know. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. The kid's almost 3.
Yeah, he's almost 3. He's 2 years and
No, don't do that.
12 months.
Don't do the months thing. That has become a new.
I know, it's
By the way, that
ridiculous.
is a whole new trend.
Is it?
I had a 1-year-old. I did have an 18-month-old. Like at that point.
Yeah.
Once the kid is 2, stop it.
He's 2, yeah.
Stop it.
He's 76 months old.
No, the kid's 2.
The video, did you see the video of Zach Bond's kid?
My God, that
Might be one of the cutest babies I've ever seen.
Elian.
I don't know. I don't know the name.
I think his name is Elian.
Okay.
What a handsome child.
And him playing with the confetti on the ground.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, dude, adorable.
That's all the
man.
feels.
Yeah.
Now, and the way the love between the father and the son you saw in his eyes.
Oh, it was really cool,
It was unbelievable. By the way, Zach Bond.
I was about to say, the love I have for Zach Bond is incredible,
Seriously,
too.
When I watch videos of Zach Bond play football, my eyes look the same way.
Yeah.
They do.
He was,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, he was a
Not
dude.
that there's anything
He's
wrong
been
with it.
amazing, man, all season long. What a cool story.
By the way,
man.
I did have a good conversation with somebody on Sunday and was like, Zach Bond's not walking out that door, which did make me worry about the Milton Williams conversation.
I don't think he'll be back. He's going to get paid a decent amount of money that they probably won't want to do for a rotational.
Brendan
back.
Gunn was saying the other day that it is a huge draft for defensive linemen.
Yes, I saw that from one of the draft analysts that it's
That
like
it
for
is-
tackle specifically.
And we're talking first and second round tackles. It is supposed to be the best first and second round talent that has been around in like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, we're going to hear about it this week, too. Senior Bowl is on Saturday, so we're
Yeah,
going to get the
that's
weeks
right.
of practice down in Mobile.
Underwear Olympics. It's almost the Underwear Olympics.
I
That's
think
the
they wear
combine.
the full
Almost
clothing
there.
for
No,
this
that's
one.
the combine. That combine comes away, the old Underwear Olympics.
Yep. Connor, what do we have on the text line so far this morning? I know people are chiming in on today's discussion. Overall excitement for the Birds, too. If you don't even want to answer the question, you just want to express your excitement, go for it. Second Super Bowl appearance in 3 years. Can't forget that. 610-632-0975. And after 1 or 2 texts, we'll play you not backtracking, John, back stomping.
Yeah,
at this
back
point.
stomping.
What do we got?
Everyone's answering the question so far, and Jimmy is going to lead us off with a lot of confidence. He says, I don't know why you guys don't think that the Eagles could drop 50-plus on the Chiefs. The Chiefs haven't really been that good all year,
The
despite
Chiefs'
winning these
defense has
close.
been good all year.
Despite winning these close games, this Eagles team is going to devastate Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
That I'm looking forward to, and I hope they devastate Taylor Swift because I know that fraud's not going to wear Eagles gear on Sunday.
No, I don't want to. By the way, I never want to see her in Eagles gear again.
Bring on the Swifties. I don't care. Pick a side. Hey, all you Swifties that are Eagles fans, what are you going to do? Pick a side.
My wife brought it up yesterday. Remember Kylie Kelsey in the documentary where she said, I told Jason if he ever played for another team,
She'd still go Birds.
I am never wearing that team's gear.
Because she's an Eagles
I
fan.
will only wear Birds gear. So Taylor Swift is a fraud. She was always a fraud about this.
Yeah,
It wasn't important to her.
Taylor fraud. That's
Yep.
all. That's all I'm going to
She
say.
is. Now, you know what she's going to do? She's going to write a song about Kincade Salciunas
Probably.
and say how bad we are and how we were toxic and
Yeah,
everything like
probably.
that. Guess what? Bring it on, Taylor. Bring it on.
So
Joe Jonas me.
the most points scored against the Chiefs defense this year was 30 by the Buffalo Bills.
And that is a Buffalo Bills that somehow are magical, but they don't have half the talent on offense that we have.
But I can't see 55. The Chiefs defense has been good all season.
No, but I could see 35.
I could see.
Sure. I'm
could
just saying not 55. That's
Well,
twice.
well, yeah.
That's 3
obviously.
scores.
Yeah, I
could
think our
abs-
texter Jimmy's going a little farther.
I absolutely see the Eagles being able to get to close to 30,
Yeah.
30 something.
And they might need
in this
to
game.
for all we know.
They very well might.
All
This offense, though, again, this is a second lane from the right hybrid,
Yes.
probably with a coexist sticker on it. I mean, this is This is a car that is driving very responsibly, and is very efficient, and gets great gas mileage.
Sounds like
that's-
John Kincade.
That's the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, that's why I bought my car because I'm too cheap to pay for gas, but it's moving fine.
All right, you ready to hear some back stomping?
Yeah, I'd love to hear this.
This is the stomping that Chase Daniel did yesterday. So this is amazing.
I saw them once on a date, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Stomp. You don't even know what Stomp is, do you? No. They're the people that did the trash cans and the.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know
They're
that.
called Stomp.
So Chase Daniel on his Yelling and Screaming show, we've played his audio a lot, so this is nothing new.
Right.
His straight up dislike for Jalen Hurts. There's a tweet that people were screenshotting and retweeting yesterday about he did the emoji where it looks like the guy's yelling and does the whole people need to realize that the weapons are being held back in Philadelphia because of the quarterback. Like,
Right.
he had a dislike for Jalen Hurts. And a lot of people made the point, well, maybe it's because he wishes he could have been on this offense and maybe his career would have been different. I doubt it. So here was Chase Daniel yesterday trying to back stomp and try to change the opinion that people should have of Jalen Hurts. Take a listen.
There's only been 8 quarterbacks to reach 2 Super Bowls in the first 5 years of their career. Look at that list. Troy Aikman, Tom Brady, John Elway, Patrick Mahomes, Roethlisberger,
A lot of Hall of Famers.
and Jalen Hurts. Time to put a little respect on that guy's name. He's a winner. 2 Super Bowls in the first 5 years of your career.
Hold on.
Look at it.
Yeah, here we
Wait
go.
a minute. You thought Chase was finished?
Dreams and nightmares?
I'm not letting him do this. Wait, so you rocking with number 1 for the Eagles now?
Winner.
But you.
The facts cannot be
I know,
disputed.
but when you like to show the graphics, but you show graphics of how well he doesn't play. And now today, you see we can't do that.
We can.
And I'm blaming you.
We can change it.
I'm blaming you. Y'all sat up here and y'all was super respectful. Y'all kept it quiet. And he told how great Jalen Hurts was and all that.
Hey, we just
but
let
there's
him
so many
praise.
others. I watched weeks on weeks on weeks. I watched days on days on days with this young brother that knows the game very, very well.
Yes.
Very well. So bad about Jalen. He can't do this. He can't do that.
Bad?
And now you said, you just.
I was saying facts.
Whatever.
And the fact was
whatever.
that he did not throw the football well for most of the
whatever
of
it
this
was,
season.
it was not positive.
I never once.
And now today you sit up here and you let this man praise Jalen Hurts
On this deck.
Now hold up now.
Thank you, Shady. That was LaShawn McCoy going after, his co-host and Chase Daniel. And he's spot on. Like, dude, all season long. And
What is he talking about?
Don't give me the whole, oh, no, I was just saying how he wasn't throwing the ball well.
He did not throw the ball well all season long.
He went on a rant at one point about how he's done nothing in the playoffs. And, he has. And so I'm glad that Shady calls him out for it. So I have a question for you guys that I would like to get your answers on this coming up next. But I also want the audience to chime in on this at 610-632-0975. Now, I know where you're going to come in, John, but I want you to express it on the air because I saw you tweeting about it. Does part of you like the fact that they're backtracking and now starting to show the respect that Jalen Hurts is deserving of? You heard Chase Daniel say, it's time to put respect on his name.
What?
Well, you were the one that was disrespecting him. So is part of you happy that they're starting to backtrack, or does part of you get pissed off that they were saying the nonsense that they were saying up until last week and now all of a sudden decide to change? So are you happy that Jalen's starting to get the respect, or do you wish that they would stay on that side and it's starting to piss you off a little bit that they're trying to spread a message of, hey, you should start putting more respect on Jalen's name? I want to hear John talk about it. I want to hear Connor talk about it. And I want to hear you talk about it at 610-632-0975. We'll check the text line on that next as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Crawling towards the championship. I'm Connor Thomas, and the long wait for the Super Bowl has begun as the Eagles make their preparations for Super Bowl 59, coming up on February 9th in New Orleans, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And we can think back on the NFC Championship. In the meantime, Jalen Hurts had an outstanding game on Sunday in the blowout. Kurt Warner joined us yesterday and talked about how one of the great things is he doesn't have to carry this Eagles team.
He doesn't have to carry this team. He doesn't have to be the guy that makes every play because they're good enough around him. It's exactly why this team is in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
Doesn't mean that he can't carry the team when he needs to. We saw that on Sunday, but it's a team sport, and the Eagles are obviously bringing a Super Bowl caliber team to New Orleans. The Flyers took down the Devils 4-2 last night. They're going to play each other again on Wednesday. The Sixers host the Lakers tonight at 7:30 p.m. You can hear that game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. No Joel Embiid or Paul George in this one. We'll talk to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer coming up at 8:10. This update is brought to you by CSB Media Arts Center in Cherry Hill. Discover your future at the CSB Media Arts Center in Cherry Hill. Skills-based training in broadcast media, filmmaking, and more in just a few months. Visit GoCSB.com for a tour. That's GoCSB.com. Trust me, I went there. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It's time for Birds Playoff Conversation.
You see the way that they conducted themselves like trash that whole game, and now I got to hear.
live on Kincade Salciunas on this Tuesday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Our main question for you to answer today. Line comes out, Eagles 1.5-point underdogs to the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you feel about the Eagles being underdogs? Should they be viewed as underdogs going into this game? And how much of it is just the respect factor of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? And look, that respect factor is legit.
With all of us, it is.
It's
with
legit.
everybody. With
Yeah.
everybody in this fan base, I think it is.
But if we were to do team versus team, Chiefs offense versus Eagles defense, Chiefs defense versus Eagles offense, are the Chiefs really the favorites in this game?
They should not be.
I love that.
They should not be. And I can argue it any way you want to argue it.
Yeah.
Do you want to argue it as which team has the better offense? You want to argue which team has the better defense? You want to argue it common opponents and look at how they played. How did they play versus Joe Burrow? How did they play versus, Lamar Jackson? I'll do it with you all day long. The Eagles should be the favorites if you just go by football. But intangibles matter.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
Andy Reid's ability after 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent, that matters. Patrick Mahomes' ability to put together, whatever. He very much like Tom Brady. He can take a group of players and make them great. So all that stuff, as Connor pointed out in the first segment, it matters.
Yeah.
So
Well, and so does. I asked you a question last week. If you remember I think it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. I said, guys, can I just ask a question that I don't feel like anybody's asking? Could Jaden Daniels look like a rookie? The way he was talked about, right, was, hey, this is the next big quarterback in the
Sure.
NFL. He's so poised. Moment's never too big for him. And I asked you guys, is there a chance that the moment could be too big for him? Now, I don't think he played horribly.
no, I think the Eagles made him look like a rookie.
And you and I, we didn't get into this on the air yesterday.
We can get into it now. We got 2 weeks.
Rookie move to celebrate the way that he did, making it a 2-score game.
I thought it looked like
that was a bad look.
that was a dumb look at me moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It
From a
was all
young-
look at me.
From a young man who has been anything but that all year
Right.
long.
I don't think that's who he is.
No, I don't think it's who he is.
But he scores a touchdown to make it a 2-score game, and momentum Eagles.
I
Right?
think-
Like,
I
all
think he got
momentum
carried.
Eagles.
I think he got carried away by the moment, and it was that look at me, because everybody was getting in his ear about who he is. I have no doubt Jaden Daniels shakes that off and rebounds better than we saw Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud when they have their first season after all the accolades.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think he played like a rookie. He didn't have a very different game from what they did to Jordan Love, what they did to Matt Stafford. That's just what this Eagles defense does. Remember, the only turnover that he really accounted for was that pick to Quinion, which was an unbelievable
It was a great play, yeah.
down heavy in that game. The rest is his team just fumbling in terrible spots. So this Eagles defense can do that to anybody, including Mahomes.
I don't consider Jaden Daniels he isn't even on page one of the reasons that the Commanders are sitting at home.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? I don't think I even write his name down on the list
Right.
as one of the reasons. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Eagles are clearly the better team in this Super Bowl. It's not, to me, it's almost not arguable.
Dude, chest day. We do chest day
That they're
every
the-
day on the show.
That they're the
Sometimes
better
too much.
team.
We skip leg day every
That's
day on
funny as
Kincade
no.
and Salciunas.
People told me that before the Green Bay game, told me that before the Rams game, told me that before the Commanders game. Saturday night, we're out at dinner at Chop House, and what do you think's going to happen? Kincade, what do you think's going to happen? I said, I don't see any way they're losing this game. And my wife's like, goat mouth. You're putting your goat mouth on it, which is a Jamaican thing. The goat mouth. You don't jinx something. I
Right.
said, I don't believe in stupid goat mouths and jinxes. They're going to win the game.
Man.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not that chesty because of the opponent, but I am absolutely defiant in saying the best team this year has been the Philadelphia Eagles, despite the records.
Everyone talks about Jalen Hurts and how he squats 600 pounds. Nobody talks about how John Kincade can bench 600 pounds. How come nobody talks about that?
Because it's not factual.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
How
listening
much?
to 97.
Wait a minute. How much is that bar? What's that? 45.
That's 45 pounds.
Yeah,
Olympic
45.
wise.
Yeah,
They have
exactly.
35s as
Just
well.
a couple more plates added.
Yeah, exactly.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic,
Make 'em
WPN,
smaller.
WPN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, I asked a question going into the break. So if you missed the last segment, we played the audio from Chase Daniel, where Chase Daniel on his show on Fox was trying to do the whole hey, he's in a class of these 7 quarterbacks that have made the Super Bowl twice before the age of whatever. 30, I guess.
No, first 5 seasons.
Oh, first 5 seasons.
And by the
Sorry.
way,
I tune out half the things he's saying.
And I would also tell you, this is truly first 4 seasons. It's because he did not
He's
get
been
to
starting
start.
for 4,
He
yeah.
didn't start the first year.
Right.
He took over for Chase Daniel's buddy,
Right.
Carson Wentz.
Hey,
Right.
Hurts got some wide receiver snaps. Let's remember.
Yeah, he did. He did. But
Forgot about that,
It's
Connor.
funny. Like Jalen Hurts or Chase Daniel does the whole time to put some respect on his name. Well, you were the one that was being disrespectful. And
You were the one.
And Shady called him out for it. I love that Shady did that. But I want you guys to talk about it, and then we'll check the text line on it because I asked the texters, the listeners, to answer this question as well. When you hear a guy backtrack, or as we're saying, backstomp, because it was loud yesterday, does part of you feel like, all right, good, I'm glad you're finally getting to the side, or does it piss you off? And I saw you pretty vocal on social media yesterday with a couple of people. We're going to get to more than just Chase Daniel as the show continues.
It pisses me off because unless you start your commentary with, I was wrong. We hold each other accountable on this show.
Absolutely.
We have no problem busting balls and saying, excuse me, last week you said this, boy, you were, and everyone goes, yeah, I was wrong on that one. I was wrong on that one. If Chase Daniel just doesn't come out and say, I was wrong. I got this one wrong. I give 40 opinions a week. I was wrong on this one, and I own it. But he won't do that.
Right.
He won't do that because he's a hot take artist. And that's how you know the hot take artist, because they don't want you tuning out before their next hot take. And that's where, no, it pisses me off. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, and yesterday was a masterclass for a lot of people, even non-Eagles related. We'll talk about that Ben Slowjack or whatever his name is coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. The guy from ESPN who's like
Ben Solak.
Thank you. He's like 18 and he's their lead.
Well, he's a little over his skis. He's a little over his skis.
Yeah, he's getting attacked by players.
No, because he's over his skis, and I don't honestly. I think they put him in a bad position.
Yeah, they probably did. All right, so Connor, how do you feel about the backstomping from some people? Does part of you like it because you go, all right, finally we're hearing the respect that he deserves, or does it piss you off because in that same clip, as Chase Daniel tries to give Jalen Hurts respect, Shady points him out to him and he goes, well, I wasn't wrong. He wasn't playing well. It's like, dude, no, he wasn't playing well to your standards. The team has won 17 games this year with him as the quarterback. What do you got?
Yeah, all of me loves it. There's not a part of me that doesn't like this because to John's point about like they need to admit they're wrong, they don't have to for me because I know when guys like Chase Daniel or Chris Sims go back to their mansion that they live in at the end of the day and they lay in bed and look up at their ceiling, they know what they said. They won't admit it on air, but I know they know. And if they don't, they're not logical and they're not worth our time. Like they're not normal, rational human beings. I do think deep down, like they know they were wrong. So I don't need the whole public like, oh, I did this. They know when they miss one, even if they won't admit to it, and that's their problem. But the reason why I love this so much is because if we're right, and we believe we've been right on Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and this Philadelphia Eagles team, to get the national media onto your side, sometimes it has to be undeniable. And that's not fair, but if they are as good as we think they are, eventually you are going to be forced to come around. And you're going to get to a point like nobody's saying, oh, well, the Chiefs, or nobody logical is saying, oh, the Chiefs aren't good. The Chiefs aren't as good of a team because they've won 2 and they're going for 3. There's a point where you're so good, it's undeniable. And we think that the Eagles have a lot of players and a lot of people in this organization that are so good at winning football games that it is going to be undeniable that they are what we think they are. And that's the point that we're getting to with this team. So I love that they're coming around to this point because you have to fight an uphill battle. Do you know how good that means this team is to win those guys over, to get them to say these positive things? Because they'll fight tooth and nail to keep their narrative. When they flip, it means you've gotten to a point where they can't fight it anymore, and that's a beautiful thing.
Very well said, Mr. Thomas. Very well said.
I love that.
Every once in a while, he gives us something.
No,
Great
that was
job,
good
Connor.
energy. That was very good energy there.
Thanks, boys.
We should send that to Fox.
I like
Say, hey,
that.
Chase,
Clip it,
I
Haley.
love-
Send it out.
Take a listen.
I love the whole idea of that you have to, as Connor says there, you got to drag them to the opinion. Here's what I know. So Nerd Boy was a little Young and the Restless was pretty good yesterday, but I was like a little bored. A lot of dialogue, not a lot of action.
Okay.
And so I was Nerd Boy was checking. Do you realize if you go NFL Network and if you go ESPN, you go CBS, and you take all of and there was one other that I checked. Do you realize the Eagles were picked against in every game? Every game.
Like by someone.
No. Every game until the NFC title game when it was almost more even.
Even though, yeah.
The Eagles were picked against all along.
You know what that sounds like to me, Andrew?
No, it's not.
Dogs run fast.
No,
Stop.
because they were favorites.
Don't Andrew me. Don't add me into that.
Yeah,
I don't
wanna
want
hear
that.
this.
I want to be
No.
a top dog, damn it.
A top dog. I was floored to go back and look and read some of the analysis of how Green Bay was going to knock them off, of how the Rams were going to knock them off,
Right.
or how the Commanders were going to be knocked off. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I'm so thrilled with this team and what they've accomplished, and I truly believe they are the best team on the field in Super Bowl 59, and I don't have any doubt in my mind to say that.
I love this. I love it. Chest day every single day for John
Gotta
Kincade.
love it.
Our man Tommy Reardon checks in. He says, I listen to you guys every morning at the gym before I coach. I'll take care of leg day for us. Because
Okay.
the Eagles are wagons. So that's good. He's right by that.
Like
you
that.
got to do leg day if you want to have a wagon. So that's good. It's good work out of you, Tommy.
Go to damn prank.
All right, coming up next, we hear from you about our topics today. Should the Eagles be viewed as the underdog in terms of the betting line going into this game? When you hear the national media backtracking, does part of you like it? Or is part of you pissed off that they're now all of a sudden starting to backtrack now that it took the Eagles getting to the freaking Super Bowl? You'll hear from more national media members, Dan Orlovsky, Stephen A. Smith, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. That clip comes for you next, but we'll check the text line before that. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
This team does it week after week, and we should have known they were going to do it in the big way.
here on Kincade and Salciunas. Go ahead, Johnny.
And what do we prefer? We prefer Wawa here on the show.
Damn right, man. We run on Wawa.
We do. We love it. I saw
Somebody else's
Wawa this
slogan.
morning.
That's a different slogan.
That's all right.
Run on Dunkin'.
No, I think it's Dunkin'. Yeah, we run into Wawa.
Yes, we run into Wawa and hold
all
the door.
time.
And hold the door.
I always do.
I'm a pro door holder. Not sure why people. I don't know why it's a lost art on people. It's unbelievable.
People are ignorant sometimes.
That could be
be.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so Connor, let's check our text line before we play our next national media reaction to the Eagles heading to the Super Bowl. Probably the least liked Super Bowl team, and they're playing the Chiefs, for crying out loud, which is amazing. It's just weird, the discourse about the Philadelphia Eagles over the course of these playoffs. You just mentioned it. You went back and saw that they were pretty much picked against.
No, they were
in every round.
In the Rams and the Packers, if you took all of the predictions, they were picked against. They were picked to lose.
And
So nobody believed in them.
And here we are now, getting ready for the Eagles' second Super Bowl appearance.
It's amazing.
In 3 years. What do we have on the text line at 610-632-0975?
Blaine in Kentucky answers the question about the national media and says, I love the fact that they're backtracking and finally giving Hurts the credit he deserves. The key with this, though, is like Shady did when they do this. We need to pull receipts. Call him out, make it known that they wanted to doubt him all year idiotically, and now, finally, they're willing to see the light.
Now, the problem is you need people on the show to have the receipts. Because here's the deal. Chase Daniel... And a lot of, we're using him as the first example because we played him first. Like Alex Smith, what he spewed last week about how, it's good enough to.
Was stupid.
This offense is good enough to get you to a Super Bowl but not win it. Like, that's stupid. Who's calling him out on it?
Well, hang on. We all agree that that's dumb, but he is not technically wrong yet because he said they could potentially beat Washington doing it, but they can't win the Super Bowl. So you got to go win the big one for him to be wrong, just to be totally fair.
No, I think it's dumb. I don't think. I think it's such an I think it's an unfair thing to say because if they lose by a field goal,
they didn't. It doesn't mean that they couldn't do it.
Right. Like,
I got you.
It's absurd.
What if a player on the Eagles defense slips?
Wait a minute. It's 35-35 like the last Super Bowl.
Yeah.
At the 2-minute warning.
Right.
And the Eagles lose a game. He can't be on and go, see?
Told you.
Saquon rushes for 156 and told you, couldn't do it. And it's the fact that Jalen Hurts fumbles that causes them to lose the Super Bowl.
Right, but
like last time.
This is opinion on opinion. This is what if on what if. Like we gotta see what happens in the game first. I agree with you that it's dumb.
He's so dumb.
I hate his what if.
He's so dumb. He is. I'm going to tell you this right now. The Alex Smith, to me, is the shallow pool of analysts. He is. I could step in it, and it's barely to my ankle. When I hear a Dan Orlovsky, I'm blown away by the detail that goes into every opinion that comes out of his mouth. And I even disagree with some of it.
Oh, yeah,
but he's making the case saying, look at this, look at this, look at this. When I hear Chase Daniel and I hear Alex Smith, I'm saying, dude, less wax into the eyebrows, more worrying about the analysis, please.
Now, speaking of Dan Orlovsky, here he was with Stephen A. Smith yesterday on Get Up reacting to the Eagles' Super Bowl appearance.
Jalen being able to hurt you. When he hurts you, that's when this offense is the ultimate pick your poison offense. And to do it in the NFC title game, you got to tip your hat.
You're wrong. You said it was 3 people. It's not 3. It's 8. It's that offensive line. Don't forget them 5 brothers.
I like the fact that you're starting to
Listen, Jalen Hurts did play well. Major props to him. Heard you on Get Up earlier this morning. You were absolutely right in terms of what you had to say about Jalen Hurts. Of course, A.J. Brown showed up. That's a beautiful thing. But Saquon Barkley, this is the difference maker. And let's be real. If the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl championship, you got to see something from Saquon Barkley. Something special, okay?
I mean, look, the offensive line does deserve a lot of the credit. I'm just glad that it seems like Stephen A. Smith is finally changing his tune on the Eagles. Because remember, was it 2 weeks ago? I've lost all confidence in Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. I get it. Look, we have to do opinions every single day.
Yes.
But as you pointed out, if we're wrong, we admit it.
No, we just admit it.
That's it.
And sometimes you're going to get called out for stuff. Like I expect that a listener, a co-host, a producer, whoever it is, you got the right to be called out. What we do for a living is we turn on a button, and sometimes we eviscerate people on their performance.
Absolutely.
So we have every right to be just slammed in the same exact way when we screw things up. Not screw things up, but when we have a bad opinion, hey, get ready. You're going to take the eggs. People are going to pelt you with eggs. It's part of the job. Deal with it. So many of these people will not do it, though.
No, they just keep on moving forward. All right, let's check another text, Connie. You can text in. You can call in. Same number, 610-632-0975. Our two main topics. The first one, when you find out that the Eagles are underdogs going into this matchup, do you believe that they should be? Do you think that they are underdogs because of the Kansas City Chiefs or because of the pedigree that is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? And we could talk about whether or not you agree with it. And then the national media, do you like that they're backtracking, or is part of you pissed off and you're saying, hey, stay on that side? I don't want you here because you know the second Jalen Hurts has a bad game, they're going to go right back to it. What else we got?
Jamal in New Jersey says, screw them all. Ryan Clark, Emmanuel Acho, Chase Daniel, Dan Orlovsky, and Phil Simms' son. I don't even watch any of that. The only reason I know is because of social media. Let them stay on that lonely hill on that side. Go Birds.
Like, you know how when we watch the Cowboys, we get upset when they win, or the Giants, or the Commanders? Do you think a guy like Chris Simms, who over the last 3 years, a lot of his content, his biggest viral videos, has been his dislike of Jalen Hurts in the offense? Do you think he hate watches?
Nah, because when they win, then he's going to get even more reaction when he puts Hurts at 27 next year.
Gives him
he's
more,
so twisted that he wants them to win just so that he can badmouth them.
No, it gives him more of a stage. He realizes if the Eagles make the Super Bowl, then I got 2 weeks of content where people are going to be, I can make myself the story. Got a lot of that. Got a lot of that going on right now.
That's second level thinking by you.
He's saying, I got 2 more weeks where I can clickbait the Eagles fan base. I can have everybody talking about me, and that's the way it goes.
Mikey Miss would be proud of you guys. That's second level thinking. I didn't go that way. Sometimes I'm a first level guy. You know, I don't want to walk up the steps. I like my nice, easy, flatline brain at times.
Because you skip leg day. Can't do the steps.
Hey, we do chest day every day on this show. It's
chesty, baby.
It's another chest day Tuesday on Kincade Salciunas. All right, coming up next, Drew Brees, one-time analyst of NBC. That didn't last long.
No, he wasn't very good at it.
He wasn't very good at all. Didn't he get like a 75-year contract for it, though?
It wasn't good.
He did an article on Fox, or was interviewed for an article on Fox, and said a lot of nice things about the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll tell you what Drew Brees had to say, and we still got a lot more in store for you today. I can't wait. Later on the 7 o'clock hour at 7:40, Reuben Frank always does his great stats and observations. He did a piece on Jalen Hurts that you're going to love. But Drew Brees first, coming up next, Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Hurts getting love. I'm Connor Thomas, and the long wait has begun as the Eagles prepare for Super Bowl 59 coming up on February 9th from New Orleans. And Jalen Hurts had an outstanding game in the NFC Championship blowout on Sunday. He started to get a lot of love all of a sudden. Kurt Warner joined Kincade Salciunas yesterday and talked about how one of the great things about the Eagles is Hurts doesn't even have to carry this team.
You know, he doesn't have to carry this team. He doesn't have to be the guy that makes every play because they're good enough around him. It's exactly why this team is in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
And it seems like people are realizing you can acknowledge both, that Hurts is good enough and the Eagles have a great team around him. It's a team sport, and the Eagles are obviously bringing a Super Bowl-ready team to New Orleans. The Flyers took down the Devils 4-2 last night. They'll play each other again on Wednesday. Sixers host the Lakers tonight, 7:30. That game right here on The Fanatic. Joel Embiid and Paul George both out in that one. Jeff McClain of The Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:10. This update is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring today. Robert Half can help. At Robert Half, they know how to take care of your hiring issues. RobertHalf.com today. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Birds head coach Nick Sirianni.
give away something. You want to do
what?
Give away one or two, Johnny. I'll let you make the call for the first one.
Okay. One or two. Let's give away two. Let's really take care of people at this hour of the morning who might be around later in the show.
Now, I appreciate you saying number two because we have three of these to give away. So we'll start with one. First caller on the contest line, 215-263-0975, will win a 4-pack of golf show tickets. Call 215-263-0975.
When is golf show? This weekend?
This Friday through Sunday at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks. For tickets and info, visit PhiladelphiaGolfShow.com.
I know where that is. I've been there for the home show and stuff. The golf show's in town.
And the Birds don't play this weekend.
Okay, that might be something I hit up.
John Kincaid's weekend is a little bit more free this weekend. Is that right?
I might hit up the golf show.
So if you're interested, 4-pack, which is really cool. We have 2 more of these to give away throughout the course of the show. We also have a pair of Sixers tickets to give away. That was prize number 1. We'll do that at some point in the show as well. All right, so we'll check the text line coming up in a second here at 610-632-0975. Obviously, our conversation is about the big game. The Eagles open up as 1.5-point dogs. Do you believe that they should be the underdogs in this game, or do you think a lot of it is just the respect factor of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? And look, that one is real.
We acknowledge it completely. They absolutely deserve all the respect because they freaking earned it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. But the Eagles are clearly the better team in this Super Bowl. I said clearly. I didn't say better team.
No, it's just a Tuesday.
They are clearly the better team in this Super Bowl. We're talking team. 1-53. They're the better team.
And, of course, our conversation about the national media, do you like the backtracking or do you wish they would stay on that side? Now, Drew Brees, I would consider national media, considering that he's not a player anymore, even though I don't know who – does he work?
I don't know. I think part of the legislation was they paid him off and he just is not allowed to talk to a microphone again.
Okay.
I think for a network.
So he was interviewed by Fox, though, so I don't know.
Okay.
But this is print.
Could
so
have
maybe that's different. Who knows?
There you go.
He was asked a bunch of questions about, the Super Bowl. Obviously, it being in New Orleans is a big deal for him because he used to play in New Orleans. So there's a bunch of questions, a couple fluff questions for Drew Brees. But one of them, he was asked this. You won the only Super Bowl you played in. You've got Patrick Mahomes going for his 4th title and an unprecedented 3rd in a row. You've got Jalen Hurts facing the same team for the 2nd time in 3 years, still trying to get his 1st title. Who has more pressure on him? That was the question that they asked. Now, there is a narrative in this answer that Drew Brees gives that I think needs to go out the window. Okay. And it should have gone out the window last week for the Commanders. Quote, it's really hard to bet against the Chiefs. I would say this, though. The Eagles look unstoppable on offense right now. I don't see how you tackle Saquon Barkley. They're so good up front. And then you got Jalen Hurts, who's a threat to run the ball at times. So he's almost becomes like an extra blocker in the run game. So inevitably, you've got Saquon one-on-one with somebody in the open field. Good luck to you. And then defensively, they're really, really stout too. So, and then he says they have the motivation of having, the rematch with the Chiefs. So all of that sounds pretty good. He's speaking pretty highly of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think he is.
Here's the one narrative that needs to go out the window. I'm sure there's a little bit of quote, hey, we've got nothing to lose. The Chiefs have the pressure on them, not us. It's the Super Bowl. Last week was the NFC Championship game. The whole narrative of Commanders had nothing to lose. You know what they had to lose? A trip to the Super Bowl.
And guess what? Did you see them? And I'm not mocking them at all when I say this. Did you see them crying in the locker room?
Yeah. They had everything to lose.
They had everything to lose. It is something that we say that players don't say.
Well, I'm trying to stop that now. We should not be saying it.
Oh, yeah, well, they got nothing to lose. You hear people go, they're playing with house money. Yeah, the house money is expectations.
Yes.
But the players themselves, they were crushed.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to New Orleans. They thought they had a chance. They could taste it.
You know,
and
there's nothing to lose.
And I don't mock them for it.
No, absolutely not. But you know, there's nothing to lose. Like the 4-11 team on the last week of the regular season, they score a touchdown. They're down 1. Do they kick the extra point to go for to force overtime, or do they go for 2 to try to win because they have nothing to lose?
Right. Then you go for it.
The Super Bowl is you can't give me house money for the Super Bowl.
There's no such thing.
I do think there was a difference in mentality between Washington and Philly in this NFC Championship game.
I agree with you.
Yeah, considering where the teams are at in their trajectory.
Well, what do you think it was? What was the difference?
Well,
like where can you show me that?
It's more of the happy to be here type thing. Like they want to win the game, but it's a different type of feel when you're a team that wasn't expected. It's got to be a different type of feel.
Once you're in the game, there's no
there is no
we're
such,
happy to be
There's
here.
no such thing. The players were not like that. The players were not. The players were literally crushed. The players thought they were going to.
We got reports from the sideline saying that the Washington players were smiling and laughing, having a good time, getting ready, loose for the game, and the Eagles were going about it with a much more business-like mentality because it's like, hey, we expect to be here. And they did not. And when you get there, that changed. But there's something subconsciously of a team that wasn't expected versus a team that is. That doesn't exist at all in the Super Bowl, like not remotely between these two teams. But I do think there is a difference in mentality slightly between the Eagles and Commanders.
I still probably wouldn't say nothing to lose in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
but,
I can't get
and look, I love what Drew Brees had to say about the Eagles. Like in terms of, hey, good luck stopping this team. But once you drop the line of, he doesn't say house money, but he said we've got nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. It's the Super Bowl.
You have
everything to lose.
You have a chance for football immortality.
Yes, exactly.
Immortality. And it's amazing. You know what? If we get Matt Ryan on again at the Super Bowl, ask Matt Ryan what it felt like to go up against the Patriots. The Patriots.
Yeah, they had nothing to lose.
They
It
had
was the
nothing
Patriots.
to lose, and he got told that. And I can tell you, the week of the game, Matt Ryan had something to say along the lines of bullsh.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? We have nothing to lose. We got a chance for a ring.
Bull spit.
Yeah,
John.
seriously.
Spit.
Bullsheesh is what I usually say.
All right, give us a text on the text line, 610-632-0975.
All right, so we have a check-in here from, let's go to Colby in Central PA, and he says, the Eagles are only dogs because it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I don't give a damn. I know better than to believe they are true dogs. The Eagles are the best team in football, and I can't wait to shut these people up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's why the line is the way that it is. It's when I see 1.5, I practically see pick 'em. Like,
the thing is again, and I've been telling people in the bet parks, if you believe the Eagles are winning the Super Bowl, don't take the 1.5. You bet the money line.
Minus.
Bet the money line. Bet the money line. Whatever it is, do it.
Give yourself a couple extra points.
Whatever it is that just helps
boost that up a little bit.
Boost those outputs.
And look, I get why the Chiefs are considered the favorites in this game. I'd be curious as this week and next week goes on. Is there movement?
I wonder, but
where do the sharps go? Do they go, hey, we think that all of a sudden the Chiefs are definitely going to win. All of a sudden the line moves in 2 points in the favor of the Chiefs.
The squares betting, so like the everyman betting, not the sharps, has gone to Chiefs because America bets the Chiefs. It's one of the reasons why every year one of the most teams bet in Vegas, and one of my buddies who's out there with MGM Resorts tells me this every year. He goes, don't go by the betting odds for the Super Bowl because every year they know Steeler fans, Green Bay fans, Dallas fans are going to bet their team to win the Super Bowl. So they make the odds, even if they know they have no shot to win, they make the odds tasty enough to get them to lay their money down.
Right.
Because they know it's going to happen every year. Dallas, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh are three of the teams that every year in Vegas.
Big, loyal fan base.
They get a ton of people, though, but American fan bases. It seems like they have fans sort of all over the place.
Right.
That will support them.
Makes sense. All right, love that. All right, so coming up next, we'll hear more from you. But also, I said this to you earlier in the show. Reuben Frank, he does it every single time. One day, you two will break bread. His 10
Rube, guess what? He's got a huge fan in me. He's just not a fan of mine.
His 10 observations or 10 insane stats. He does this all the time, and they're always tremendous. Jalen Hurts has also been tremendous. Hear his insane playoff stats that for some reason he doesn't get credit for from a lot of people. Coming your way next, it's Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
If you watch the way they play football, they don't have
6:30 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh!
Like every once in a while,
I'm so excited.
Can we just bask in it?
No, I'm so excited for it all. And by the way, there's another good omen. Did you see?
What's the other good omen?
Well, February 9th, of course, is the Super Bowl.
Yes.
All right. So, if I would just say to you that it's Saquon's birthday.
Correct.
And it's Cooper DeJean's birthday.
Correct.
And it's one other legendary Eagle. When I say legendary, it means it in many ways. It's their birthday, too. Vince Papale's birthday also.
How about that? Definitely legendary.
And definitely sort of more the Disney movie.
Oh, yeah.
Vince could still kick our asses.
Yes.
But it's amazing to me that there's just, I feel so good about this game. I feel so good about the trip. I feel so good about the game. I feel so good about their chances.
Yeah.
I really do. And much better than I did 2 years ago. Much better.
Are you saying the Eagles are invincible?
That's very good.
I'm also saying that Brendan Gunn doesn't listen to the show.
No, he doesn't.
Because Brendan Gunn just put a note up on the screen. DeJean 33 plus Saquon 26 equals 59. Wow. I wonder where you would have heard that before, Gunner.
Yesterday's show. Seriously.
Wow. Thanks for being busy playing Madden.
I don't know what he's doing now. Thursday.
I'm working here.
Now, Thursday, by the way, our own Brendan Gunn did an amazing job of playing the NFC title game out before it happened. And when you look at his social media, and we retweeted it,
yes,
it was really close to what happened.
He had the Eagles winning 52 to 35.
52 to 35. That was pretty close.
Yeah.
Kind of game it's going to be. Brendan Gunn is going to find a way to play this game, the Super Bowl game, out before Thursday's show. And on Thursday's show, he will reveal what happens in that game. Now, the question is this. Could Brendan Gunn just be a lousy Eagles coach if they lose? Or do you play the game? Do you let you have to tell this
he plays the game, man.
But you have to tell the non-gamer here. Is he making decisions for Kansas City and for the Eagles?
No, just for the Eagles.
He's just for the Eagles.
Yeah, he could simulate it as well if we want the Brendan Gunn portion of it pulled out.
The wild thing is,
I want to hear the same portion since he played it last time.
When he first posted the final score, 52 to 35. Again, you said this was last week. I responded with, "Hey, what was the stat line? I'd like to know for gambling purposes." So, Jalen Hurts threw for 335. Obviously, that didn't happen in the actual game, but the Saquon stat line.
Okay.
116 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Oh, my gosh.
Saquon finished with 118 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Okay, that's freaking
wild.
That's
wild.
Okay, Thursday's show. Mark your calendars. Thursday, January 30th. Little fun during the off week.
Yeah.
Brendan Gunn plays out the Super Bowl, and it will be revealed.
Damn right, man. He should bring the Xbox to work. Hell, he should play in the studio. We can connect it. I've done it before.
We can barely get him to work the time that he's here.
That's true. He's clearly not listening to the
focusing.
show. All right, the 10 crazy stats in the playoffs for Jalen Hurts. Ruben Frank put this together. And obviously, you can always make stats, to work your point.
Okay.
Right? You can always say, look at Chase Daniel. Oh, well, how can they win this way? Or Alex Smith, how can they win this way? I have stats to back it up. So, I'll go through a couple of these for you. You know that Jalen Hurts is closing in on an NFL record?
What's that?
Hurts hasn't thrown a postseason interception since his first career playoff game. That was the 2021 wildcard game against Tampa. Yep.
Yes, okay.
Hurts has thrown 206 consecutive postseason pass attempts without an interception. That is the second longest in NFL history, behind the man we just talked about, Drew Brees.
Okay.
Brees' mark is 215. So he's 9 pass attempts away from tying Drew Brees' record of consecutive attempts without throwing an interception.
Okay, well, how do we resolve this with the Jalen Hurts sucks and they can't win with him?
Oh, I don't.
How do we remember?
That doesn't do anything.
Remember
for
last
people.
week we had the Eagles have a quarterback problem.
Yes.
And everything like that. That's amazing numbers.
Yep.
That's pretty good numbers there.
He already has an NFL record. Again,
What's that?
Thank you to Ruben Frank.
Okay.
Hurts has now gone 7 straight postseason games with at least 20 passes and no interceptions. That's the longest streak in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes had a 6-game streak, and a handful of quarterbacks had 5, including names like Joe Montana, Roger Staubach, Drew Brees again. Overall, Hurts has gone 9 straight starts without an interception, which is the 7th longest streak ever recorded. So he has a record. One of the best ever. Hurts' career postseason interception ratio. One of every 117 attempts is 6th best in NFL history. The minimum is 100 attempts, so he's behind Jeff Hostetler, who I would believe Jalen Hurts is better than.
Yes, he's better than Jeff Hostetler.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, he's better than Brock Purdy, too.
Kirk Cousins. Alex Smith. Enemy of the state.
Okay.
And Deshaun Watson. And, come on.
Come on now.
That's,
I mean, seriously.
So there's a bunch of others that he has on here. Go check it out at NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. But it just shows that he does a lot, and he is disrespected a lot. One of these other things was the last one that he does, and he wasn't even a first-round pick. Hurts' 5 career postseason wins are the 4th most ever by a second-round pick, behind Brett Favre, who had 13.
Okay.
Drew Brees with 9, Ken Stabler with 7. So he's already at 5. Let's say he gets the Super Bowl trophy. That's 6. Let's say they go on a bit of a run next year.
They win a couple games.
7, 8, he would already be in the top 3.
That's
for
incredible.
second-round picks. Isn't
That's
that amazing?
incredible.
Think about all the first-round picks that don't have 1. It's amazing, man.
It is amazing.
Go
on.
Please. Is Jalen Hurts still overpaid? Or is anyone still saying that? Because we had that narrative as well. Are they paying him too much for, he doesn't throw the ball as much as other guys? Would you pay a quarterback this much if he won like this?
I appreciate winning.
Yeah.
That's what I want to win.
And I have a quarterback who is being paid like all other franchise quarterbacks, including Trevor Lawrence. What's he doing?
Oh, my gosh.
Justin Herbert. What did he do in his playoff game? Dak Prescott, injury, but was anybody really thinking that the Cowboys were going to win the Super Bowl like he said they would before the season started?
They're hoisting the trophy.
I remember when he was still healthy, he was caught on the sideline saying, "We bleeping suck."
Right.
So think about all the quarterbacks that are getting paid the same, if not more money than Jalen Hurts and having far less success. Yeah, sure, statistically, they might be better. True. Can't deny that. You put passing yards versus passing yards. Yeah, they had a better season.
By the way, again,
who's winning?
Again, the more you trail, the more passing yards you have.
Yeah.
Passing yards is the stupidest stat that people throw out there.
Yeah, Geno Smith was top 5 this year.
The more you trail in games, the more you pass the ball. Passing stats is a stupid stat. I had a discussion yesterday back and forth with one of our listeners on social media. And he was pointing out, well, Jalen Hurts, he was trying to defend Chase Daniel because of a stat he was using. I'm like, okay, there's no stat you need to be using to try to find Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is on historic numbers as far as his performance, as you've been pointing out there.
Yeah.
We don't need to find one number and go, see? Well, this stat backs up Chase Daniels. Chase Daniels looks like a boob. Chase Daniels looks like an absolute boob right now as Jalen Hurts is getting ready to play in his 2nd Super Bowl. We don't need to go find well, this stat says Chase Daniels right. Well, Chase Daniels not right.
I will tell you this.
Chase Daniel needs slip-on shoes. With this analysis, I wouldn't count on him to tie
You
his
could call
shoes.
Tony Romo. Tony Romo, he does.
He's got the slip-ons.
Slip-on Skechers.
He does.
There is nobody that looks worse today, though, than Chris Canty.
Oh, I can't wait.
8:25, so a little less than an hour from now.
I can't wait for this one.
We will play the exchange and the receipts.
Your resident Super Bowl champion, Chris Canty. Do you know most people could never even tell you that he won a Super Bowl? But he tells you every day.
Good for him.
Yeah, he tells you every day.
He's the resident.
I tell people every day if I won one.
Tom Brady doesn't go around bragging about Super Bowls that much.
No, he just wears all his rings at times. Deservedly so. All right, coming up next, we'll reset the show. We'll hear from you. Also, we have today's headlines with Connor Thomas right at the start of the 8 o'clock hour. So a lot in store for you today. Man, this show is already flying by. I hope this week flies by. And you know next week's going to fly by, Johnny. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A great team around Hurts. I'm Connor Thomas, and the long wait to the Super Bowl has begun. The Eagles are preparing for Super Bowl 59, but we got a ways to go, folks. Game is not until February 9th from New Orleans. Jalen Hurts had an outstanding game in the NFC Championship blowout on Sunday, and Kurt Warner joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday, talked about how one of the great things is he's got a great team around him that he doesn't have to carry.
You know, he doesn't have to carry this team. He doesn't have to be the guy that makes every play because they're good enough around him. It's exactly why this team is in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
It's, of course, a team sport, and while Jalen Hurts doesn't have to carry the team around him, he's been pretty darn good as well. The Eagles are obviously bringing a Super Bowl caliber team to New Orleans. The Flyers took down the Devils 4-2 last night. They're going to play each other again on Wednesday. Sixers host the Lakers tonight at 7:30. That game here on The Fanatic. Joel Embiid and Paul George both out. We'll talk to Jeff McClain and the Inquirer coming up at 8:10. This update's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Patel.
You're coaching up Haley on
culturing
things.
Haley.
There's things that working with all of you that I'm shocked that you don't know, that you guys don't have a real pedigree in. But you just showing her Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the rabbit scene.
Yeah. Have you ever seen it, Connor?
The killer rabbit? Yes. The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch?
It makes me smile. Now, your father exposed you to that, right?
Probably. I forget who first showed it to me.
Did your dad fast forward through the scene of the house?
I watched all of it.
Okay. My dad would fast forward through a specific scene.
Like, I one day did not know that, like, Brendan Gunn and some others behind the scenes they didn't know Jay from Modern Family, Ed O'Neill, as Al Bundy.
Oh, they did. Oh, that's
and
bad.
Al Bundy.
No, that's bad.
They couldn't believe the stuff that Al Bundy got away with saying on that show.
Oh, on that show, yeah.
And I was just playing a reel for them, and they were like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
like that's really funny
you
stuff."
You gotta know that he's Al Bundy.
But it was unbelievable.
But yeah, so I taught Haley about Monty Python and killer rabbits because she showed us a video of her rabbit that growls at people, which is terrifying. I said that's the Monty Python rabbit.
That rabbit would be gone.
Yeah,
that rabbit would be gone
rabbit
today.
All right, let's give away another 4-pack of the golf show tickets. Let's go to the contest line again. Caller number 1-215-263-0975. We'll win a 4-pack of the golf show tickets this Friday through Sunday. You can pick the day you want to go at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks. For tickets and info, visit PhiladelphiaGolfShow.com. John Kincade may be in attendance.
Well, I think I might want to do this
now that you know that there's no game this weekend.
Yeah, we got none.
You don't want to. You're going to miss the flag football and the dodgeball and all the other festivities of the Pro Bowl.
I will probably, unless it is by accident, I will stumble onto none of that.
I won't watch a second of it
unless I stumble onto it.
It's the biggest waste of anybody's time.
I will not watch a minute of that.
It's the biggest waste of anybody's time. I can play dodgeball my own time. All right, so here's what we're talking about before we get to today's headlines with Connor Thomas. When you see that the Eagles are underdogs in this game, and no, we're not doing the hungry dogs run faster thing.
Yeah,
when you see that the Eagles are 1.5-point underdogs, do you believe it's because of the Eagles versus Chiefs matchup, or do you believe this is because of the pedigree that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Steve Spagnuolo have 100% been allowed to have, right? Like, it makes total sense that if it's a pick-em and you were going to give 1 point on either side, you'd go to the Chiefs because of the pedigree.
Okay, if I said to you in a pick-em game, what is the best unit on the field? Which team's defense, which team's offense?
I'd go Eagles defense.
Eagles defense is the top, okay?
Yeah, they're number one.
Okay, what's number 2?
Probably the Eagles offense.
Yeah. They're better on both sides of the ball.
The Eagles are a better team.
When my neighbor said to me, again, one of the stories I told you at the beginning of the show, I talked to my neighbor yesterday, and he was like, man, I really wanted the Bills. And I first thought he meant like the wild tailgate scenes that will be going on.
Right.
And I thought maybe I feel bad for Bills fans. No, he's kind of terrified of the Chiefs. And I was like, I get it.
No, you should be terrified of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
But if you're asking me team versus team, like talent.
It's not close.
And I know talent doesn't always prevail. We learned that last year when they had to collapse. But still, the Eagles are the better overall team.
Yesterday, Nerd Boy was overlaying the rosters for some stuff we're going to do later in the week. And I was just overlaying the rosters and saying, if you gave somebody the blind test and said, would you like this running back or this running back? Would you like this offensive line or this offensive line? Would you like these receivers or these receivers? Seriously, people are going to have to wrap themselves into mental gymnastics to come up and say, well, it's Mahomes and Reid. That's what they're all going to lean on.
Yeah.
Because when you actually talk about the matchup in this game, the Birds are the better team.
Sounds very familiar, like we did this 2 weeks ago.
I've been doing it all playoffs, and it's been really, to me, I've actually been frustrated with our own fan base. The amount of people. It went away after Green Bay, though. It really did go down much more.
Yeah, but going into, there was a lot of Stafford
into
McVay.
LA. Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, Stafford McVay. And I understood it.
So do I.
But I also, you guys heard me say multiple times, how come there's no respect for Hurts and Sirianni, who were just in it 2 years ago? I know they didn't win the Super Bowl,
they did not.
But they were in it, and it came down to the wire against a dynasty. Why don't they get the respect? Why don't they get the respect going into this one that is 2 and 3 years?
Yeah, played damn well, coached damn well. I mean, you came up short against a great team, but
you go back and you look and you say, what was being said Ravens week? What was being said Bengals week? What was being said even Steelers week by some. What was being said with Jordan Love in the second matchup against Stafford? Jalen Hurts has been completely disrespected. He's been completely just been like, yeah, but Hurts,
because
he doesn't do enough.
It's not played the way that a lot of people
want him to play.
It. Yeah,
correct.
Which is, hey, as long as you're winning, that's all that matters. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. We didn't do it yesterday because we were so locked in on the championship victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. It is time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What do we got, Mr. Thomas?
We got some good stuff, Chronicles of Narnia. So we're going to start down in South Beach because we have a situation that has been going on for a while with the Miami Heat and our good old pal, Jimmy Butler. If people aren't aware, Jimmy Butler walked out of shoot-around after already having 2 suspensions from the Heat this season, and he has now been suspended indefinitely. Here's Shams talking about it.
Jimmy Butler causing problems?
Well, let's see.
Shock.
Yeah, the Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler indefinitely. This is his 3rd suspension just this month, delivered by the Miami Heat. I'm told here's what happened today. Butler showed up to Heat shoot-around and walked out after being informed that he was not going to be in the starting lineup moving forward in place of Haywood Highsmith.
Sounded great.
Yeah,
That's terrible. That was Charlie Brown's teacher reporting.
I watched the Charlie Brown movie last night with Coop. He's a little under the weather, so we watched the Charlie Brown movie. He loved,
Jimmy
loved when the
Butler.
teachers spoke. Go ahead.
Your guys' thoughts?
Look, I think he's a hell of a basketball player, and I will never take away what he's been able to accomplish in what will probably go down as a Hall of Fame career. And remember what he did with the Miami Heat, carrying that team to an NBA Finals. But every place he's gone to, there's been a problem. Every place. So there are a lot of people that are trying to defend Jimmy Butler. Hey, he wants to trade, he wants out of there. At some point, you got to stop just allowing everything to happen that a player wants. And Jimmy Butler has now a record of Minnesota, Chicago, Philadelphia, and now here in Miami, that there's always problems with him. Always.
It's what he is.
This might have been the cleanest place, funny enough.
If
but
things aren't,
Oh,
if
yeah.
things aren't all about Jimmy, then it's over. It's got to be about him.
Thank God we don't
Center
have
of
any
attention.
major problems with our basketball team here. All right, we'll move on to this.
That's always fun.
So the coaching carousel starting to slow down a little bit. There's still a couple open positions, but 6 guys hired so far. Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer. With the Raiders, Pete Carroll comes back. Jets,
My
Aaron
gosh.
Glenn. New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel. Then you got Ben Johnson in Chicago and Liam Cohen finding his way to Jacksonville. Real quick, number 1 and the worst coaching hires so far.
Well, Schottenheimer's probably the worst, even though I got to see it play out. It's just I don't. When they announce it on a Friday night, I don't even know if they feel so great about the hire, but whatever. That's Jerry being Jerry. I do think Vrabel's going to do something in New England. I do. I thought he'd be a great coach for somebody to hire last year. Don't know how he went through the cycle without getting hired last year. I think he's going to be good. We'll see about Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams. I think that's going to be a nice little marriage for the two of them. But that's a tough division you're in.
Yeah.
So, when you're New England, you really got one team you need to worry about, and it's Buffalo. Oh, and then who's worried about the Jets or the Dolphins?
Nobody. Johnny, best and worst?
Best and worst. I think it's. I'm completely torn.
Okay.
I'm completely torn as to where to go.
I feel bad for Aaron Glenn. We're on overnight.
I think the worst would be Schottenheimer.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The best, I think is going to end up being Liam Cohen, who they hire in Jacksonville.
Okay, interesting.
I really do. I think Cohen's going to be the guy.
I'm curious to see how is Ben Johnson as a head coach and not just offensive coordinator. That's always something to keep an eye on.
I also think that Bears is a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the Bears is a ton to overcome, and that's where I'm hung up. It's
just like, does the franchise outweigh the head coach?
Because, yes. But the thing is, look what Dan Campbell did with the Lions. So I really should shut my mouth and say, if you can turn around the Lions, you can definitely turn around the Bears.
Yeah. We'll see. All right. Well, we have a Super Bowl that we've got to talk about, so let's get back to the Birds. Here's a replay from earlier.
Should the Eagles actually be looked at as let's just say, the lesser team in this game against the Kansas City Chiefs?
They shouldn't ever be looked at as the lesser team. Like, there's no way. John was talking about the roster. Like, you could just look at it logically on paper, but when you play a team like Kansas City, the same way in the past when you play a team like New England, but you have to go past the paper. It's not just the matchup. I don't love that the Eagles are playing the Black Magic Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in the city known for like voodoo down there in New Orleans. I don't know if that's a good vibe because they do something otherworldly that just stuff seems to fall their way. And I think that's a huge part of the reason why the Birds are not the favored team. But you can't look at the Eagles as a lesser team in this matchup. There's no logical explanation for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have a GOAT quarterback, GOAT coach. And again, because there's no like home field advantage. You know how usually there's the mindset of the 3-point swing if you're the home team.
Sure.
If it's a pick 'em, if Vegas straight up says, we believe these two teams match up evenly, but we got to some teams got to be a favorite. Not surprised that they would pick the team that's won twice in a row and has the GOAT quarterback, GOAT coach. Like, I'm not surprised by the line at all.
No, I'm not surprised at all, and I understand where it's at. I do believe, though, when the sharp money starts to come in.
It's going to come in on the Eagles.
I believe it will. And I got to tell you, if it doesn't, I will go, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? That's what we'll have to see.
All right. Coming up next, still not heard from our man Jeff McClain. So I'll keep you posted on that.
All right.
If Jeff can't come on, we obviously have your text messages to go through at 610-632-0975. And eventually, later on this hour, Chris Canty, the exchange yesterday, Johnny.
Yeah.
Where you're just caught red-handed. It's unbelievable how people just feel like they can lie. We'll talk about it. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and Ray Dunn.
on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm going to check our text line in a second on today's topics. But I got a question for you guys, and I get it. It's agenda and narrative. This video of Jalen Carter, did you see Jalen Carter with the smack of the helmet of Tyler Biadasz, who's one of the offensive linemen?
Oh, the eye poke, John.
No, I didn't know.
No, not the eye poke. That was dirty from Jalen.
That's dirty.
I don't think it was intentional.
What?
I don't think it was intentional.
Oh, I did.
I think he jumped and then whatever. I don't think he intentionally tried to poke his eyes out.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying it was dirty where the hand placement when he jumped off sides. But anyways, that's not the play that I'm talking about. The play that's actually getting more circulation on social media was when he smacked Tyler Biadasz on the side of the head, and Biadasz goes down, I think, trying to draw a penalty. And everyone's saying, wow, what a dirty play. How did this not get penalized? When if you just watch the clip in its entirety, before Jalen Carter smacks Biadasz's helmet, Biadasz smacks his and grabs his face mask. So I understand there is anti-Eagle agenda, and everybody in the world wanted the Commanders to win. There was like that map of who people were pulling for.
By the way, that was a mock-up. That wasn't real.
Okay, well, but
it was a. But
would you be surprised that people wanted the Commanders to win over the Eagles? There was tweets going viral last week saying, "Please, Jaden Daniels, I don't want to watch Jalen Hurts throw for 150 in the Super Bowl." Right? That's the stuff that people were saying, and so I don't get it. Like, Jalen Carter smacks him in the face kind of in retaliation, and people are upset that he wasn't penalized when Biadasz smacked him and grabbed his face mask on the exact same play.
Well, people talking about A.J. Brown tearing off a man's helmet. Well, you got to watch the whole clip beforehand
exactly.
to then lead me to that point. If you're going to be offended, look at the whole thing.
Yeah, but what do you mean you don't get it? The Eagles are good. People don't like the teams that are consistently good. We're going to have to get used to it. They don't, bro. No, they do. John, nobody likes the Chiefs.
You're going to tell me that, and then you're going to tell me that the Chiefs get rock stars, so people just hate watching, you're saying?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
everybody just hate watching.
At some point, yeah. I'm sure people did that with the Patriots.
You think people like that team?
No, I absolutely do think there are many people who are like, especially if you're given the Sophie's choice of rooting for the Philadelphia fan base or rooting for the Chiefs, that are absolutely struggling with this choice, Connor.
Oh, no.
They hate us. They hate us worse than they hate the Chiefs.
Right, but that's not liking the Chiefs.
No,
they hate the Chiefs.
Oh, they're all over. This is going to be this Super Bowl will be another one that just sets numbers.
Yeah. Every single year just sets numbers.
By the way, Bleed Green High, who is a fantastic spot on social media,
all right,
points out, the 0-8 for when you hear the 0-8 number for Vic Fangio going up against Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Remember, these starts included these three quarterbacks to account for the 8 starts.
For the Broncos
for Vic Fangio going up
Dolphins.
against him. Okay. Drew Lock, old man Joe Flacco, and Tua. That was it.
Yeah.
Those are the quarterbacks that he took. So in other words, Vic Fangio's team took a pea shooter to a rock fight with those 3 quarterbacks. So when you hear about, Vic Fangio's never beaten Patrick Mahomes, look at the offenses that he was asked to do that.
Yeah, it can't just be.
Come on now.
1v1.
Let's just be honest.
Can't be. Now I'd be
Great
curious.
job.
I'd be curious to know how did Patrick Mahomes play in those 8 contests.
Yes.
Now if he threw for 450 in all 8 of those games, I go, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If he's throwing for 450, he's throwing for 450.
Sure.
So maybe we'll try to find that.
I'd take 0-8 over 0-0. I'd rather have a defense coordinator who's seen the guy before. Did Jonathan Gannon ever face him before that Super Bowl? Had the Eagles played him with Gannon as their DC maybe once?
They had played him the year before.
Yeah.
In the first year here at Lincoln Financial Field, in the first year of Nick Sirianni. And they actually, and it was a 1-score game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
So saw him once, but Vic Fangio knows this offense. He knows what the Kansas City Chiefs are going to try to do. He has the experience, and experience is a very valuable thing for a guy that's seen everything.
I got you. All right, I have numbers. I'll turn them into the averages coming up in a little bit. What do we have on the text line on our topics today, Connor?
We have a lot of people still checking in on why the Philadelphia Eagles are dogs in this game against the Chiefs, and a lot of people that are feeling very chesty about the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So a question here, though. No name on this one. Morrisville. Bob in Morrisville says, if they have the same plan they used for Jaden Daniels against Mahomes, does Travis Kelce have a big day like Zach Ertz?
Yeah, probably.
I don't think Travis Kelce has a big day left in him.
Ooh, I definitely do.
I don't think
Travis. Pretty big games.
I don't think Travis Kelce has the ability right now. I think Zach Ertz is playing at a better level. I think Zach Ertz is more of a threat right now than Travis Kelce's been.
You might want to be careful
whole
now.
Whole season, look at it. Whole season, see what you think. I don't think there's Travis Kelce is not. Travis Kelce's going to retire after this game. He's going to step. It's going to be done after this game. You're going to send him out. This is going to be the game. He's set out.
I don't listen. He had a great game against the Texans.
Yeah,
he was valuable in certain points against the Bills.
At certain points, he was. He absolutely was. Travis Kelce, I'm telling you right now, I don't think he's got that game in him. In fact, the majority of games, how about the vast majority of games this year? He's been that 30, 45.
Yeah,
50.
Second half of the season was when he turned it on.
I think he's going to be a threat. I don't consider the Eagles' defense the Texans' defense. So I'm not worried about him scorching you that way. Or it might be exactly what Vic Fangio wants them to do.
Could be.
Might be that dink and dunk crap that's what he wants them to do.
Now, I did the averages.
Okay.
So in the 8 games that Patrick Mahomes has faced Vic Fangio, completion percentage of 64%. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Passing yards of 229. So it's not like he's averaging 350 yards per contest against Vic Fangio's defense. So maybe it is more so who was the offense for the Vic Fangio teams that he was the defensive coordinator for, to the tweeter's point. All right.
Or the Xer.
Yes.
You got to go Xer.
All right, coming up next, Chris Canty had a day yesterday.
Oh, he had a day, all right.
And he's still fighting. Hear from the resident Super Bowl champion.
He isn't doing
from ESPN. He went after a lot of people yesterday. Hear the back stomping we're saying today. Not backtracking, back stomping. But a guy that got caught red-handed. And it's cringeworthy. We'll play the audio for you next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The long wait begins for the Birds. I'm Connor Thomas, and we are having a long wait for the Super Bowl. No, it's not off-season wait. It's not next season wait. The Eagles are preparing for Super Bowl 59 coming up on February 9th from New Orleans. Still going to feel like a long 2 weeks. So in the meantime, we're going to have a lot of narratives come out. And one of them all season has been about Jalen Hurts' performance. And he had an outstanding game in the NFC Championship blowout on Sunday. Kurt Warner joined Kincade Salciunas yesterday and talked about one of the great things about the Eagles is Hurts doesn't have to carry the team, even if he can.
He doesn't have to carry this team. He doesn't have to be the guy that makes every play because they're good enough around him. It's exactly why this team is in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
It's a team sport, and this is definitely a team capable of going down to New Orleans and winning. We'll see what happens in just a couple weeks. The Flyers took down the Devils 4-2 last night. They'll play each other again Wednesday. Sixers host the Lakers tonight at 7:30. That game live here on The Fanatic. Joel Embiid and Paul George both out for this one. This update is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking with Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
What a magical season.
625 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. So, Johnny, one of our questions for the audience today, other than the Eagles opening up as underdogs on the betting line for the game against the Chiefs, the Super Bowl 59, and we asked the question, should they be the underdogs in this game, or is a lot of this just the pedigree of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Steve Spagnuolo, the fact that they are looking for their third straight Super Bowl? All these things, very logical. But when it comes to Eagles versus Chiefs, who's the actual favorite in this game? We want people to climb in on that at 610-632-0975. But our other question today is about the members of the national media. And hell, you know what? We could say local media too, because there's flip-flopping that's done here locally as well. Do you like it when you hear someone who has been disrespectful, I should say, about like Jalen Hurts throughout the course of the year, and then all of a sudden they flop, and now all of a sudden they say you should put respect on the name? Like the clip that we played from Chase Daniel earlier today. Chase Daniel said, and I quote, "Guys, it's time to start putting respect on his name." You were the one that literally tweeted out 3 weeks ago, that the Eagles offense, the players are being held back by Jalen Hurts.
You can't be the person who sets the building on fire, gets a hose, and then says, hey, I put the fire out when you said it. If you're the pyromaniac, I'm not applauding you. And these hot take artists are the pyromaniacs of this story.
Right. And so we're wondering, do you like it when they start going to the side you'd like to hear, or would you rather them stay on that side, right? Don't change. Keep spewing the nonsense that you've been spewing. So Chris Canty is our next person at the stand. So he does the show. He does an ESPN radio show, but he also, jumps around.
He does ESPN radio right now.
He does First Take and everything. Right. So yesterday, he just had a asinine day. Is the Sirianni portion in this clip as well, Connor? Okay, so before we play this clip about Jalen Hurts, he starts ripping Nick Sirianni and saying Nick Sirianni does not deserve respect for beating a rookie quarterback in the NFC Championship game.
But wait. How could that be? How could it be?
I don't know.
It was Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah. Who last week,
Jaden Daniels they almost wanted him to be the logo of the NFL.
And by the way, Chris Canty, from a betting standpoint, took the Commanders +6. So he didn't have them winning the game, but he had the Commanders +6. The Eagles beat them and beat them easily, 55-23. That's a beatdown. And yet he goes on to say Nick Sirianni deserves no credit for beating a rookie in the NFC Championship game. What about the Packers? What about the Rams? And what about all the love that Jaden Daniels got, to your point? He then continues and talks about his love for Jalen Hurts. Take a listen.
I don't have Jalen Hurts as a top 10 quarterback.
He was hurt last year.
Yeah, that's great. That's all good. All well and good. I don't have Jalen Hurts.
Pause. I just want to explain. So this clip that you're hearing now is a preseason. He has his top 10 quarterback list, and Hurts is not in it. And then listen to how he just decides to rewrite history.
I don't have Jalen Hurts as a top 10 quarterback.
He was hurt last year.
Yeah, that's great. That's all good. All well and good. I don't have Jalen Hurts as a top 10 quarterback.
Okay,
here's my list, Molly. I got Patrick Mahomes, which understood and got to be said.
Fair.
Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert.
Wait. So, okay, yeah, C.J. Stroud.
Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy. Of the list of quarterbacks I just gave you, there's only one quarterback on that top 10 list that has lower odds to win MVP in 2024, and that guy is Trevor Lawrence. That's it.
The criticism that we've all had about the Eagles ain't about the players on the field. It's been about the coach. I had Jalen Hurts as a top 10 quarterback coming into this season. I'm just now looking back at my notes.
I also had him outside the top 10 at one point.
No, I had him as a top 10 quarterback coming into the season. I'm sitting here looking at my notes.
Yeah, there's clips online from First Take and this show of you saying, I don't have Jalen Hurts in the top 10.
So that's his producer.
His producer, who my little birdies tell me has taken a lot of heat in the last 24 hours.
Yes, because there is a notion that the producer is supposed to make the hosts sound better.
There are people who in this industry who have done this job or who used to do this job who are like, that's not the role of a producer. No, that's exactly the role of a producer. The role of a producer is, this is a debate, create dialogue, create anything. Or
the producer gets in the other host's ear and says,
Challenge him on
That's
this.
actually not true.
And if I said
get after
something,
him?
if I said all of a sudden, hey, I am a huge fan of something that I wasn't, that if I said, look, Buffalo Bills are in the Super Bowl. I told you back in the summer the Bills were on the Super Bowl. It's Connor's job to get on the microphone and go, John, you thought the Buffalo Bills weren't even going to make the playoffs.
Right.
That's if I wouldn't have acknowledged it myself, which I already had. I acknowledged that all year long, how wrong I was about that.
Whoa,
but
I would never tell you guys that you're wrong.
Yeah,
never once would I disagree.
You've never done that ever.
Come on.
You could bathe in it. You love it. And the thing is, but we do it to you. And we do it to Brendan Gunn. And you do it to me, and I do it to you because
Absolutely.
It's an exchange of ideas. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to get stuff wrong.
Yeah,
That's conversation.
It's an opinionated
And you're
world that we live in.
you're going to get stuff wrong. And by the way, it doesn't make the host look bad. That it makes the host look bad when the host just won't admit the truth. That what they said was a total heaping pile of doggy poop.
Yeah, let's face it. If the producer didn't say it, you know how people are.
The listeners are saying
online.
Right.
They would know it. So this is like a wild thing. So you heard the old clip from before the season started. Hurts is not even a top 10 quarterback in his mind. He had Trevor Lawrence in front of him, Brock Purdy in front of him. If you remember, before the season started, we did our top 10, and we had him between 5 and 8. We couldn't figure out a set number, but this show, between 5 and 8, top 10, never wavered.
No, we were
Jalen
there.
Hurts, top 10 quarterback. So you hear Chris Canty in one clip saying, he's not even in the top 10. And then he does the nonsense of, I have it in my notes right here. And I could come up with a note right now.
Yes.
And just make up nonsense and say, look, but it's in my notes.
There are receipts.
Of course it's real. So here's where he is losing it. Because Chris Canty is now online going at it. He tagged the producer at one point, calling him a clown. So I wonder how that conversation went, according to your birdies.
I can tell you, according to the birdies, it went poorly. That, like, this is not how a producer's supposed to act.
So
bull pucky.
He goes, I have it in my notes, right? So he starts posting his notes on social media.
Dude.
Chris Canty puts his notes out. Here are my quarterback rankings for the playoffs. Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Lamar 3, Stafford 4, Goff 5, Hurts is at 6. And then obviously Daniels, Mayfield, Darnold, Love, Herbert, Stroud, Wilson,
Right.
Bo Nix. So according to his notes.
To his notes.
Which, by the way, why don't you crop? You have January 28th. That's not before the season started. Or sorry, January 8th of 2025. That's not before the season started.
That's before the playoffs started.
You also have in your notes playoff quarterback rankings. You're saying in the clip, no, I have it in my notes that I told you he was a top 10 quarterback before the season started. Your notes say playoff quarterback rankings January 8th, 2025.
Yeah.
You're trying to timestamp something and prove a point that is 5 months from the start of the season to where we are today.
Now, there's a chance that he misspoke when he was saying what he was saying, and he meant like before the playoffs. But if that's the case, and you said it wrong, don't die on that hill. Don't have such a big ego that you fight tooth and nail. Just be like, I misspoke. I meant before the playoffs. That clip's correct. I didn't have him in the top 10 before the season, instead of just pretending like it doesn't exist.
Right. And he tried pretending. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm looking at my notes right here.
Like, that's
it's a
horrible look.
It's so petty. It doesn't, like, seriously, just admit that you got it wrong. And for the national media, it's so easy to admit you got it wrong.
And then, of course,
about so many things.
He's not the one that gets in trouble. It's
the producer was not doing his job. But we have people. We have people who do this for a living who believe that.
Yeah, I know.
It's always the producer.
We should not be held accountable.
Anytime we
hurts
have
our credibility if we get something wrong.
Anytime we have a bad show, John, and we've only probably had like one of those in 225. That one show was Connor's fault.
No, it's Connor's fault.
The shield that protects the realm of radio hosts.
Damn
the
right,
producer.
man. Good job.
Seriously.
Unbelievable. I wanted to play that for you. I wanted to save that one for the juicy 8 o'clock hour because
that's terrible.
That clip has gone. I don't know. Is there like a term higher than viral? Like, you know how you can go platinum?
Yeah, super viral.
Super viral? Is there a platinum viral? Because that's what's going around right now for Chris Canty.
Don't say super viral. They're going to tell us to start wearing masks.
That's true. We don't want that.
None of this.
I wonder what Chris Canty says today. Because at some point, somebody from ESPN must have been like, yo, dude, you're wrong.
Just own it. Take the L. Take the L. It's okay.
Our own network has the receipts.
My gosh.
All right, coming up next, we'll check the text line on today's topics. Do you like it when the national media backtracks and now shows respect to the players that you love? Or would you rather them stay on that side instead of lying like Chris Canty did? But also, coming up next, Andrew Brandt joined the best show ever yesterday. Very, very bright man. He talked about the biggest offseason addition for the Eagles. We'll play the clip for you, hear who Andrew Brandt thinks it is, and we'll discuss it. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, let's give away the Sixers tickets. We have a pair of tickets for tomorrow night's game against the Kings. You can call to the contest line right now, 215-263-0975. We'll stick with caller number 1 at 215-263-0975. And caller number 1 will win a pair of tickets to the game tomorrow night versus the Sacramento Kings at the Wells Fargo Center. Single game tickets are on sale now, Johnny, at Sixers.com.
And what I will tell you is, Sunday was a bit of a bad look because the Sixers did not have a sort of an acknowledgement of the Eagles playing in the NFC Championship game. And obviously, there are some ties to that to the guy who owns the Commanders. So I would expect when you go to the Sixers game tonight against the Lakers, it's going to be an unmitigated Sixers pep rally tonight, including plenty of Eagles attending, participating in different things.
They're out courtside.
Tonight is going to be a huge Sixers night. Now, here's the thing that I have been able to confirm.
Okay.
That I heard A.J. Brown is going to get LeBron James to read the first page of Inner Excellence tonight. That's how exciting it's going to be. A.J.'s going to bring him a copy. LeBron's going to have many pictures taken as he looks at the first page of the book. Now the rest.
It's about damn time.
Then the book will just be handed to like an intern later.
Yeah.
But LeBron will take that picture tonight for Inner Excellence. It's going to be a huge Eagles night tonight, down with the Sixers.
It really is. It's a great running bit at this point. The LeBron first page of the book. It's a great running bit at this point.
And you know what? It's true. It's seriously. Come on.
I imagine LeBron
Come
reads.
on.
You know how much traveling they do? They probably read.
So every time you're reading a book, you're called reading the first page of it.
No, I'm just saying I think the pictures are great.
So,
I think he's cognizant of it at this point.
So he takes a picture with himself reading the first page of a book.
Yes, I think he does it on purpose at this point.
Or he just gets handed a book and uses it as a prop. Look, I'm a huge LeBron fan, so
damn right.
But I think those pictures.
You didn't want him here and his son.
No, I don't need Grandpa LeBron.
I would have 100% welcomed them both.
No, I don't need the jobs program for his his kids. You can't do it on
yesterday on the best show ever, Andrew Brandt was on. And I think this is important because Andrew Brandt, former executive in the NFL, of course, his biggest moment was the drafting and the extensions of Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers. When a lot of teams passed on him, you saw them, he eventually won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. And Andrew Brandt had a great career in the NFL as an agent, as an executive of the Green Bay Packers, and is now doing great things down the street on the main line outside of Philadelphia at Villanova.
He teaches there. I've been invited to.
That's where Brendan Gunn went to school, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I've been invited to go see him teach class because I've been interested in that, and he knows that I'm doing it too. So I want to do that sometime.
And he's a really, really bright man. And
he's very bright.
Yesterday, the best show ever asked him, hey, with all this turnover, and you see 5 different members of the Philadelphia Eagles are up. They're finalists for individual awards. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, both up for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. You have Saquon Barkley for both MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. Zach Bond is up for Defensive Player of the Year. And, of course, Vic Fangio up for Assistant Coach of the Year. So not Defensive Coordinator of the Year, Assistant Coach of the Year. It's something to keep an eye on because I wonder if an offensive mind is the guy that eventually gets that award.
Sure, could be.
But Vic Fangio's a finalist for it. And so they asked him, like, hey, out of all this, like, what's the biggest offseason addition that the Eagles made? Take a listen to Andrew Brandt's answer.
And I think there were deficiencies last year at the coordinator positions, which they addressed. And maybe they addressed it with strong contracts that go outside the cap. I can only imagine what they're paying Vic Fangio. He's an elite defensive coordinator, and he's made a huge difference. And I think I said, that was the biggest signing in the NFL in the offseason, player or anything else. Just made a huge difference. And whatever they're paying him, he's worth it.
Now think about this for a second. Obviously, his answer for the Eagles is Vic Fangio. Listen to what he said. He said, biggest addition in the NFL.
That's look at the impact.
You could exactly. You could make the case.
You went from 30th to first. It's ridiculous.
Imagine worst to first.
That's ridiculous.
Legitimately worst to first. So
yeah, only 2 teams were worse than you last year.
He might be right that it was NFL, all of the NFL.
I would say he's right there to say that he's right.
I mean, what? Who would you? maybe combat that with.
The Commanders' offense was a top 5 or 6 offense.
Okay.
And they were last year.
They were
30
last.
seconds.
Because of Brian Johnson, right? They made that flip.
No, Brian Johnson did. He made sure that when Dan Quinn and this coaching staff was, he made sure they were fueled. They were running on Duncan.
Yes, they were. You could make the case, I guess, for Sam Darnold just because of what he was able to accomplish. But
I think Kevin O'Connell is truly
right. He's the more mastermind than Sam Darnold is the good quarterback. Like Vic Fangio is the mastermind of this defense.
Yeah, it's probably either Jaden Daniels or Vic Fangio. If we're allowing players into that conversation, that's got to be what it is.
Well, and one more, the running back of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, yeah,
they were going to be a good team regardless, with or without Saquon Barkley. But look at what their offense was for the better part of 11 weeks.
But they weren't
run.
I don't know that we can say they were going to be a good defense regardless without Vic Fangio.
That's a good point.
No, I don't believe they would have been. I really don't believe that they would have been. So
you don't think a full year of Matt Patricia would have done them any good?
In fact, I think it would have been terrible.
Is he at UNC yet? Did he go?
No, he's there.
No way.
Yes, he did. I think
Matt Patricia went to UNC with Bill Belichick?
I think Matt Patricia's with him as part of that team.
No way.
Let me do some research.
No, I thought he was. No.
That's a better bit than LeBron's first page.
No, that's Mike Lombardi that I know is there. Mike Lombardi's the general manager of North Carolina football.
Okay.
But he does drag him along like LeFou.
Right.
He brings him along everywhere he goes, Belichick, to make sure that he has press credentials and stuff like that.
As of today on Wikipedia, nothing following his tenure with the Eagles.
Okay, so there's nothing there.
So not even Bill Belichick didn't even want him at UNC.
That's terrible.
What a fall from grace.
That's
All
terrible.
right, we continue the show. Coming up 610-632-0.
What if he has a pencil behind his ear?
What, do you think he sleeps with it?
As he listens to us in the mornings.
I don't think he listens.
You don't think he listens?
No.
He might.
No, I really don't.
He might.
What does Andy Reid have to say about this Eagles team? Yep. Big Red. Once again in the Super Bowl. Second time in 3 years against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Let's go have a ham sandwich.
He already had a press conference and, of course, was asked about the upcoming opponent, which is your Philadelphia Eagles. What? Sam Cosby, we're done with that conversation.
We're not doing
Andy
another
Reid.
2 weeks of that.
Andy Reid. Big boy.
Oh, man.
He's a big boy.
Big Red.
He is a big boy.
He talked about the Philadelphia Eagles. Hear that next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Waiting for the big game. I'm Connor Thomas, and the long wait begins as the Eagles prepare for Super Bowl 59 coming up on February 9th from New Orleans. Jalen Hurts had an outstanding game in the NFC Championship blowout on Sunday, and Kurt Warner joined us yesterday and talked about how one of the great things about Hurts is he doesn't have to carry the team.
He doesn't have to carry this team. He doesn't have to be the guy that makes every play because they're good enough around him. It's exactly why this team is in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
Kurt Warner, one of the great NFL experts on having a great team around him. It's an important thing. It is still a team sport, and the Eagles are obviously bringing a Super Bowl caliber team to New Orleans. The Flyers took down the Devils 4-2 last night. They'll play each other again Wednesday. Sixers host the Lakers tonight, 7:30. That game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. No Joel Embiid, no Paul George in that one. This update is driven by Gary Barberos. Gary Barbero, the best boy, I guess. Get Barbero Jeeps extra cheap during Coach Nick's week. Drive like Brandon Graham in Coach Nick's pick. Gary Barbero's playoffs payoff. Is Barbero the best boy, I guess? I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry. You can still hear all your favorite Fanatic shows no matter where you go. The 97.5 The Fanatic app. Philly sports in the palm of your hand. Listen to our...
4 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Johnny, during the break, when did you realize it? Yesterday?
No, I just saw it on
today.
a video clip, and I didn't realize it because at that time, that was so towards the end of the game, and we're making our way towards the downstairs.
Right.
I couldn't get over it that Quinyon Mitchell mocked Terry McLaurin's dance.
Yeah, when he did the interception.
I never watched it long enough to see. I turned away.
Terry, man.
I turned away to see him do the dance. Okay, that's ballsy for a rookie to do that. I like it.
A rookie that's won 2/3 of the battles. I'm not just talking about scoreboard.
No, he has won 2/3 of those battles.
Terry McLaurin got the first touchdown against Quinyon Mitchell in that Week 16 matchup, but in the previous matchup on that Thursday night and then this past Sunday, Quinyon Mitchell, I know McLaurin scored, but overall, he wasn't much of a factor.
No.
3 catches for 50 yards, something like that.
And here's the big thing, too, is that I saw this, and I'm stealing this from NFL Live. Do you know that now it's number of snaps also, it's 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
The most avoided corner in the NFL in the NFL playoffs was Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, there's a lot of respect for the rook.
He's a freaking rookie.
Yeah, but screw winning the battles. You remember the first thing we heard about him in training camp was A.J. Brown saying, this dude is talking trash to me, right off the rip.
You know what? I forgot all about that, Connor.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that. He was like, this guy's fitting right in. And A.J. was respectful of it, but looking to say, well, I'm going to teach him a few things.
Yeah, he's a trash. That clip came out of him yelling at Mike Evans when they played in Tampa.
Yeah, the same game where Avonte Maddox is like, hey, man, you want to play Fortnite with me later?
Hey, come and play Fortnite with me. Are you still a gamer?
By the way, speaking of Quinyon Mitchell, our man Slippin' Benny.
Oh, Benny. Has he dried out from the weekend?
Probably not.
Because I'm telling you, he was having a blast.
He retweeted a tweet from Joe Banner.
Okay.
Back on October the 22nd.
Yes.
All right, so this is October 22nd. So let's see, how many games had the Eagles played?
They hadn't played. It was the week before the Cincinnati game.
All right, and Quinyon Mitchell, to that point of the season, had done nothing wrong. Right?
No, he'd been fantastic.
He'd been fantastic. Joe Banner put out a tweet. If you actually care, I spoke to 6 pro directors today and 1 other evaluator I respect. View on Quinyon Mitchell. When playing off, does a solid job. Is not as good when not off. Long term, has ability to develop into a solid player, but time will tell if that further development happens. Now, look, he put out a tweet after speaking with people. I don't know why he felt the need to try to speak to people and put out a tweet about Quinyon Mitchell when he had been doing so well. That was like
I'm talking to 6 executives, and here's what they have to say about Quinyon Mitchell.
That's kind of what a hot take artist does, right? Everybody's saying something about a person or a team, so I'm going to find a way to say the opposite. So he does the whole, well, I spoke with pro directors. They say he's not even as good as what people think he is.
He's got bad numbers in his phone, is what I'm going to suggest. He's got bad numbers in his phone, and executives are being fired constantly, so he must have those numbers in his phone. Talent evaluation, maybe not the best. Maybe not the best, Joe. And Joe's just, I've had a few back and forths with Joe over the years. Joe's a little feisty.
Is he?
Yeah, I think I said Metamucil once. There might have been once where I said, sounds like someone needs a little Metamucil.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, let's go to the phones. We'll get some text messages in here, and then we got to play some audio for you from Big Red, who has already started to talk about the upcoming Super Bowl.
Do you still find yourself very fond of Andy?
Yes.
So do I.
Yes, you know what was funny?
But I don't want to hear any of the, let's think of all the good memories of Andy Reid. No.
He's the enemy. He's the enemy. But
I still think very fondly of Andy Reid.
With the commercials that we're playing, they crack me up. I like that he's opened up.
He is my favorite.
To the public, because he was always the players have always loved him.
He's my favorite coach of all time.
Yeah.
As a fan.
But
my favorite.
He's the enemy this weekend.
Yes, he is.
Let's go to our man Graf in media. What's up, Graf?
We're going to the Super Bowl, boys.
Second time in 3 years, dude. Second time in 3. Think about our children, Graf. How lucky these kids have it, even though they're probably still a little too young to really understand
rascals, dude. Little rascals. You're totally right, man. We grew up, in the 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, now you're speaking to John Kincade, who dealt with a lot worse than we did.
If we weren't on YouTube now, Graf, if we weren't on YouTube right now, I would be giving you and Andrew both one-finger salutes. Because you guys are spoiled little rotten brats yourselves. Don't be pulling this on your kids.
Well, I can tell you this, John. There's nothing better than being spoiled. When
It's
it comes
awesome.
To football. In
It's
this, in this
awesome.
city.
I love every minute of it. Love it.
Yeah, like I got to give it to the city too, man. You know, the thing that's been so cool about this entire season isn't just the team and how they're playing, but it's also been like the fans. The total number of times that they threw footballs into the stands and then the stands returns the football in exchange for something else goes to show me that there's a very good link between the team and the fandom here.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like the A.J. Brown moment. Like that was really cool for the guy that was like, you know what, I got you. I'll give you the ball. Yeah, Saquon too. You're right.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, this is a very different team. This is a very different experience than in 2017, for example, where it's like you're running through the playoffs with your backup quarterback. No, we have an entirely healthy football team right now, and it is the best team in the NFL, and it is going to go into New Orleans, and it is going to put a fucking
That's all right. That's all right.
Yes,
Graf.
it's all right.
He's excited.
He's very excited.
You know,
he's very excited.
He's fired up.
Probation.
A little slip, yes.
He's fired up because we had to dump it.
It's all right. He's fired up.
He's fired
and
up.
it wasn't a...
it was a slip.
It was a slip.
It was a slip. He's fired up, man.
It was one little slip.
I love you, Graf.
It was a fusion of confusion in a most confounding way.
That was great. All right, let's go.
You don't get that.
No.
You haven't watched Chicken Little with your kid yet, have you?
No, I have, but like not.
Well, that's the song.
Not enough where I'm going to be
That's
freaking
the song
locked.
from the movie.
Dude,
Come on now.
I think I'm paying attention.
I think I had to watch that like 50 times.
I just know the baseball scene. That scene makes me happy.
And it was Bare Naked Ladies, too, I think, did the song, if I'm not mistaken.
Where? What do we got?
You said it was a kid's movie.
What do we got on the text line?
Well, hopefully stuff a little bit cleaner than our last caller there, Graf.
Well, that would
Love
be
you,
up
Graf.
to you to be the one who does the cleaning up.
I got you covered. So Joe, the cynic, checks in.
Yes.
Says, I have no doubt Vegas has KC as favorites because of their allure of being the champs. If they didn't have the 2 consecutive rings, the Eagles are favored in this game, no doubt.
And it's probably by a 2-point favorite. Like it's not. It wouldn't be like the NFC Championship game where the Eagles were 6.5-point favorites. It would be like a 2-point swing. Maybe the Eagles are the 1.5-point favorite. But you also can't ignore the fact that they are 2-time Super Bowl champions looking to win a third. A team that has played better in the playoffs than they did over the course of the regular season. A team with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Of course, they're going to get that kind of respect, and that's why they have the favorite of 1.5 points. But like John's been saying, and I agree, if you're just going on paper, talent v. talent, yeah, they have the GOAT quarterback and the GOAT coach. The Eagles have the better overall roster. And that is something that all season long, you went through the trend earlier today of the points allowed to some of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. You know what else we've seen all season long, John? Anytime the team was just the better team, they won. Packers. All the love for Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur.
Oh, yes.
The Eagles were the better team over the course of 53 players. 53-man roster.
And that's it.
Or if you want to break it down by skill position, offensive line, defensive line, position groups, the Eagles were the better team. They won. Same with the Rams. Eagles were better in every area, maybe 1 or 2. We gave the nod to Matt Stafford over Jalen Hurts, but ultimately the better team won. Same with the Commanders. All the love that Jaden Daniels has deservedly received, the overall better team was the Philadelphia Eagles. They won. Going into this Super Bowl, the Eagles are the overall better team.
There's no question. I mean, it's and you're not being
Homer.
You're not being obnoxious, Homer, or whatever. In fact, because we both gave the nod as quarterback. That Stafford, just as a quarterback, was better.
Look, he threw for 330 in the snow. But who was the better team?
The better team is the Eagles in this matchup. It's flat out.
All right,
the better team.
Big Red, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
Here he is yesterday at a press conference. And obviously they talked a lot of stuff about the Kansas City Chiefs. But, of course, he was asked about the Philadelphia Eagles. Take a listen.
The Eagles didn't get there because they're not a good team. The Eagles got there because they're the best team in the NFC. They're a great football team. As coaches, we got to dig in and get going, make sure that we can feed the players a good game plan for them. And most of that work, Matt, gets done this week. I know it's a 2-week period before the game, but once you get down to New Orleans is a bit chaotic, so you want to make sure you take care of business now. Yeah, well, those receivers are been in the offense now for a while, and they've got good tight ends, they've got good receivers. I mean, real good receivers, and they've got a running back that arguably is one of the best in the history of the game. So it's in their offensive line for all those guys to work. Their offensive line has to be good too. So and then their quarterback is dialing it up right now. So whatever injuries he had early in the season, I mean, he's playing like crazy right now. So that's a heck of an offense. Another huge challenge for us.
That was a lot of love. Now, look, of love. Andy doesn't have to hide his love for any team because Andy Reid's like, yeah, I'm 18-time Super Bowl champion Andy Reid. If I have to give love, I'll give love.
He doesn't care. And more importantly, he doesn't look at it as giving proper respect and love to the other team doesn't in any way take away from the love or respect you have for your own team.
Right, exactly. But there was a lot of love and respect for the Philadelphia Eagles there at Big Red.
You can hear it.
And look, I do take something out of that. That's one of the most successful coaches in the history of the NFL, talking glowingly about your team that's going to the Super Bowl. And that can't be forgotten for a lot of people that seem to constantly badmouth the Eagles, that they're going to the Super Bowl. And the national media has to talk about them for 2 weeks. I said to you yesterday, I can't wait to hear what they try to say about the Eagles. Because it's always like, let's badmouth the Birds.
What do you think it's going to be?
I think it's the switch. And you started to get it yesterday.
So you think it's going to be the idea that it's they're going to try to spin it as, look, we've been telling you this stuff all along about the Birds.
Or there will be people that will say, I can't keep on thinking they're going to lose.
All right.
Like, I can't wait to hear Alex Smith's first comments. Does he still stand by his opinion of, hey, they're good enough to get to the Super Bowl but not win it, which is dumb?
Have you seen the Kansas City Chiefs versus the run? They're a good defense, but I got a feeling they're going to be able to do some things in the run game. Buffalo did.
Yeah.
I would think you're going to be able to.
All right, coming up next. This is a special segment for a lot of you out there. Because if you are someone who appreciates when former players attack media members for their opinion, you'll love it because I know people like it when we get attacked.
Yes.
So I can only imagine that you would like it on the national stage as well. Boy, do we have that segment for you next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Sixers win. Play that song.
The Philadelphia Flyers.
Rebound in front. Backhand shot. They score.
The games are here. Philadelphia's source for breaking sports news. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, Johnny, we're going down to New Orleans, but we're going down for work.
We're going out for work. We're also going to find a little time to soak in a little fun, too.
I'm not complaining. But there are people that can go down straight up for fun down in New Orleans. And that, of course, is through our friends at PhillySportsTrips.com.
Did you just say fun and Philly Sports Trips? Honestly, fun should be in their name.
Yeah,
it should be
they could rename it.
Sports Trips
Yeah, if they could rename it, they should.
Because it's about the game. It's about the camaraderie. It's about the excellence of performance that they do in getting you hotel accommodation, getting you to and from the game.
Which I was about to say, fun for me is also easiness. Like, I don't need to worry about things.
You
when
just
I want to have
throw
fun,
your clothes in a bag and go.
And you know what? With Philly Sports Trips, you get that. If you put down the $4.99 deposit right now, you're guaranteed a seat on the charter flight, and you're guaranteed. Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic, on this Tuesday morning, 12 days away from Super Bowl 59 between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, a rematch of the Super Bowl from just 2 years ago.
Are you looking at this as like a regroup week? Because it's one of the always things is that it's been a really busy January for us. And a lot of extra broadcasts and a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. This is sort of like the regroup week. Like I'll try to regroup my voice.
Well, yeah, you need that.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
No, I'm not looking at it any specific way. I am looking at it one way. Cooper came down with a little virus yesterday. It was like in the middle of the night. And my first thought was, thank God the Super Bowl's not for another 2 weeks. Because I'm going to eventually catch whatever the kid has.
Well, don't catch it and bring it in. Now, the weird thing is, though, is I always hate this one, worst of all. Because this is usually like some sort of a thing you pick up. Because I wasn't screaming on Sunday.
Yeah.
People are like, well, you must have been really screaming. I said, no, I wasn't. It's the when you feel completely well. But
you got something going on?
The voice gets affected. I hate that the worst.
And I've dealt with that before from screaming.
I remember listening to you.
Yeah.
I remember listening to you.
I haven't done it since. I went to the Eagles-Panthers game, and I basically sat there dead silent. All right, so if you enjoy media members being called out by former players, this is a very fun segment for you. So what's his name? Ben Solak?
Ben Solak.
And I'm not doing that to be disrespectful.
That's his name, Ben Solak.
I literally forget because he did stuff around here locally, and good for him. Look, good for anybody that finds success in this industry.
Yes.
So good for him. I know he did some stuff here locally. Then he went to The Ringer, and then now he's at ESPN. Now, I will tell you, I don't like the stuff that he does.
I am not a fan of it either, but I think he does what I don't agree with, like a lot of the content. I don't really.
Yeah.
But I have consumed it, and I applaud him for his hustle.
Yeah.
And what he's managed
to
do.
You don't just get a job like the way he did. There are some people. There is nepotism in this industry. We know that.
Sure there is.
But that was not. He was not a nepo baby when it came to the hiring process at ESPN as like one of their lead analysts. So good for him. So he puts out a video blog and a tweet about the final play for the Bills on offense. There's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's 4th and 5. And Josh Allen drops back. Spags sends a cornerback blitz. They weren't prepared for it. They sent the extra man. And so Josh Allen heaves one downfield. And if Dalton Kincade, not John Kincade.
No, but Kincade was getting smeared in Buffalo, I can tell you that.
If Dalton Kincade, I'm not going to say takes a better route, but
no, you should say
takes a better route.
Yes.
He catches the football. It went through his hands. Mark Andrews got all the heat in the world last week, 2 weeks ago, deservedly so, for the drop in the end zone and then, of course, the fumble in the middle of the field. Dalton Kincade deserves a lot of heat because he dropped the ball that went through his hands on 4th and 5 that ended the game for the Buffalo Bills. They had a few chances left to stop the Chiefs, but the Chiefs, weren't getting stopped. They were able to run out the clock. So Ben Solak does the next-gen stat tweet that has like the numbers and where they're running their routes and everything. How come he didn't throw to Shakir here? He was wide open. And you should never, ever, ever base anything off of a screenshot.
Correct.
Or anything. If you see in the film Josh Allen's eyes on him, like we did this with Jalen Hurts earlier this year. There was a play earlier this season where he threw the interception to Tyrann Mathieu.
Correct.
So this is way back.
And
but he had Dotson. You saw his eyes on Dotson, wide open. He hesitated, then said, let me go to Devontae in the end zone, and it gets intercepted, right? Bad play. This guy doesn't even take into account that he never looked Shakir's way because there was cornerback pressure coming off the side, and he had no time to look at a second option. He had to chuck the ball because you can't take a sack on 4th and 5 ball game. So we'll start with the tweet from Ryan Fitzpatrick. I actually really like your passion and knowledge for the game, but sitting in your comfortable swivel chair with the heater on in the house and a clicker in hand makes the game very easy. Having two unblocked, unimpeded defenders, believe it or not, is pretty difficult to navigate. In the interest of credibility, please don't ever pause the tape again to talk about the space between the unblocked full-speed rushers and how the quarterback just needs to turn his hips and make the throw.
Oh, boy. And who was that?
That was Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Really?
Yeah.
So Ryan Fitzpatrick's he's
former.
Is he NFL Network now?
Yes.
I think he's NFL Network.
He does the Prime game.
Amazon.
So yeah,
Prime,
NFL,
Amazon
but
Prime
it is
games.
through NFL Network.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, he's basically calling out this guy like, hey,
okay, now
you're not wrong, but it's easier for you to say that, like, oh, how come we didn't throw it this way? Like, if there's a blitzer in your face.
So here's what I'm just trying to do. And I'm not trying to, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. So only ex-NFL quarterbacks, because I guarantee you there is some ex-NFL quarterback who would disagree with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Could be.
So are only ex-NFL quarterbacks allowed to comment on this stuff and make that?
No, they are not.
Because I thought it was pretty trashy of him to trash him like that.
I don't think that was trashing.
I do.
Yeah, I don't think that was
I do,
too far.
because he's saying to him, you're in your comfy little chair, you're in a heated place. In other words, I've got this. You don't understand, little boy. You don't understand. That's what he's saying. I played the game. You don't understand it. Look, he may be wrong, but Fitzpatrick may be right, but that absolutely was condescending. And, let me assure you, you don't know what you're seeing from your comfy little chair, in your swivel chair in your house with the heat on. Give me a freaking break. I mean, seriously. So nobody can comment on anything? On that regard, nobody should ever criticize a mayor, an elected official, or something. People can have different opinions on what they see.
Hang on, Chris Canny. When Saquon wanted to go for the 2000, and I said this is best for them, and sometimes we know better than the players because they have the emotion of actually being in the room, you said it's unfair for anybody outside of that locker room to tell them what they should be feeling.
No, because the idea is, what they should do. You can't tell Saquon the importance of that to Saquon.
I can.
That's a complete, no, you can't.
I have an opinion.
But you can't. It's not an opinion on Saquon telling this. This is a throw, and I guarantee you some quarterback would watch that and say, yeah, could have done that.
Well, if you took exception with Ryan Fitzpatrick's tweet, how about Ryan Leaf's?
Now, what did Ryan Leaf have to say?
In a since deleted tweet.
What did he do? Like he's had to delete many tweets in his life for a lot of reasons.
This right here is why, in full transparency, you have to post your address with these. Someone needs to put a boot in his ass. You work at ESPN. Call Alex, call Dan, call Timmy H. Just call someone before you do this and lose whatever credibility you had.
Oh, my God.
I'm serious.
Oh, my gosh. Did he really? I did not see that.
He deleted it. Well, I sent it to the group chat. Thanks a lot.
I hope Ryan's not back in. Ryan's had some issues.
I know.
Hope he's not.
And he's cleaned up.
That's bad, though.
He did not like that.
That's bad.
That post from Solak.
Okay. Gosh, these people. For God's sakes.
By the way, I got Connor Thomas smiling at me. But not now.
Uh-oh.
Congratulations to 3 years at Locked On Phillies podcast.
Oh, thank you.
They just tweeted it out with your photo of you smiling at me, and you look like you hit the pen before it.
No, he looks like he's that.
It's a black and white picture. You can't tell if my eyes are red.
Exactly, because it's black and white.
No, in the picture, it looks like Connor's at your Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
That's
like
right.
He's looking at you with the Ring doorbell.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Got any munchies?
I'm here.
Want to hear about Bryce Harper?
Coming up next, John, you sent us a text yesterday that we must talk about.
We should.
And it's about the potential return of Brandon Graham.
Right.
We'll discuss it as a show next. It is Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Super Bowl wait begins. I'm Connor Thomas, and the long wait between the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl has started. With the Eagles preparing for Super Bowl 59 down in New Orleans on February 9th, we now have some time to look back on an NFC Championship game that was just flat out awesome. Jalen Hurts was outstanding against the Commanders in that blowout on Sunday, and Kurt Warner joined Kincade and Salciunas yesterday, talked to us about how one of the great things is he doesn't have to carry this team himself.
He doesn't have to carry this team. He doesn't have to be the guy that makes every play because they're good enough around him. It's exactly why this team is in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
it's a team sport, and it's a great thing that Jalen Hurts has great players around him, but also great that he's been playing better. We'll see how that works against the Kansas City Chiefs in a couple weeks. The Flyers took down the Devils 4-2 last night. They'll play each other again Wednesday. The Sixers host the Lakers tonight at 7:30. You can hear that game here on The Fanatic. Joel Embiid, Paul George, both out in that one. This update is brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Not only can you listen to The Fanatic, but you can also watch on 97.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll check the text line and the phones coming up in a little bit. But yesterday you sent us a text message that I am surprised, but also not surprised because you're you. And I say that lovingly, John.
You're you.
Because there are sometimes
What is this?
There are sometimes, like the Gilly thing. Like, you're the only person in the world that's like...
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Anti-Gilly.
No, I'm not. This is... I could list for you the amount of people that reach out. Yes, Gilly the kid running out and leading the team onto the field.
Man.
That I was not the only person who thought, like, dude, what?
Save Brian Dawkins for halftime. I got Gilly at the start of the game.
Yeah, we got Gilly at the start of the game because Brian Dawkins has brought out a TV timeout.
So you're questioning whether or not it's worth it, I should say, for Brandon Graham to potentially play in the Super Bowl because
Correct.
he's been out for as long as he's
Correct.
been.
He's been out for as long as he's been, and I also I do not want to see this be the storyline of the Super Bowl because it doesn't need to be. This Eagles team has taken off. This Eagles team has been freaking dominant. This Eagles defense has been exquisite. Do I love Brandon Graham and everything that he's meant to this organization? Hell yes. Do I think it's a necessary storyline for the Super Bowl? Can we sit somebody else out because Brandon Graham's coming back? Because he's not going to play special teams.
Right.
So who's sitting out?
Bryce Huff.
You're going to say Bryce?
So I was about to say.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, why
you're
not?
Going to say, okay.
Give me
Go
a
on,
reason
just
why Brandon Graham is a worse option than Bryce Huff.
No, what I'm saying, the fact that he's been off this long.
I'll still take him. You can't make an argument that Bryce Huff is better than Brandon Graham.
And so I was going to go with the Huff factor as well, and here's why. Let's go back to the Packers game because this is the last playoff game where there wasn't a blowout or snow, right?
Okay.
Bryce Huff in the last normal conditioned close game, right? Not a blowout.
Sure.
Played one snap on defense.
Correct.
Did not play a single snap on special teams. So Vic Fangio is so out on this guy.
He's totally out on
that
him.
in a normal conditioned close game, their biggest free agent didn't play. Now, Brandon Graham, if he were to play, you're not asking. Remember at the beginning of this year, we were like, oh my God, he's playing 60, 70% of the snaps?
I thought going into the year, I think I said it in the summer, that if he was playing more than 20 snaps, it was a problem.
I agree. I completely agree with you.
By the way, that's something you can admit when you had something wrong.
That's very big of you, John.
Yeah, it's very good there. I never saw what it was. I do not believe that Brandon Graham can flip a switch after all this time off and come in and be a big factor in that game.
But you're asking him to play 10 snaps.
If you're having him on the field to dress up and be there, okay. If you're saying you make a very good point on does he deserve the honor of having one of those roster spots? I do not believe after all this time off and all the inactivity that you're flipping a switch and it's, Brandon Graham's going to be Brandon Graham in that game. So if you're telling me, like Connor would be, is that you're doing it, you got a guy, Bryce Huff, who's going to give you nothing.
Literally nothing.
Brandon Graham, then you make a great point.
Yeah, and I mean, Brandon Graham, I don't know that we can count on him to make a big play in the Super Bowl. Like, there's no history to that.
No, I don't think it's nothing like 8 years ago.
There's
nothing
You're
like 8 years
wondering
ago.
if his legs are ready for a Super Bowl
Right,
when he hasn't played as long
and
as
I
he
don't
has.
believe he's ready to play.
Now,
he's more ready than Bryce Huff.
Look, a lot of this comes from his radio show, right? And he did talk about how it's easier to recover from an upper body injury than a lower body injury because
you can do the cardio.
Right, exactly.
You can do all the cardio. You can do.
Not to take a shot at my boy, but it's not like Joel Embiid coming back from his first game, from a knee injury where he looks a little bit slower.
He might slip on the Chick-fil-A dipping sauce in the kitchen.
Brandon Graham still might have lost a step since he's last played, but it's not like he has been immobile. It's been more so the arm. Now, if you want to make the case, hey, how strong is that arm? If he needs to make a diving tackle, is that arm going to bring somebody down, right? You could totally make that case. But you know what? That arm is at least on the field. Bryce Huff is literally not getting on the field. I don't know how many. He did not play a snap in the Rams game.
If you're making the case that he should take Bryce Huff's place, you have absolutely made a case that I will nod my head and I said I'll give it to you.
Now
I'll cede it to you. If it's being done to rush him back here so he can dress up for one last time and to be part of it, then that's fine.
Right. Now, have you ever heard of a free agent signing for a team that gets to the Super Bowl and doesn't play? And then doesn't dress for the Super Bowl? Like, have we ever heard? Like, obviously the Malcolm Butler thing, but that wasn't a sign. He had already been on that team, and clearly something happened where Bill Belichick benched him. This is just straight up because of poor play. Have you ever heard of a free agent signing like this, where they played 1 snap in the first round of the playoffs, 0 in the second round, none on special teams?
Yeah, Bryce Huff played 12 snaps in the NFC Championship game, 15%.
During the blowout.
Yes.
That's why I said that's why I used the Packers game as the number one example of his snap count, because there was no snow issues and there was no blowout. In a close game with normal conditions, Bryce Huff got on the field for 1 play. 1.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you as far as that point. If you want to give him Bryce Huff's spot, I can't argue with you.
I'm not saying take out Nolan Smith or anything like that. It's just
hell no.
It's just Bryce Huff. It'll be an interesting thing. I think it's a cool story if he does get back on the field.
I just say that it's not. To me, this is how I feel. I feel there are so many stories to be told about this team getting to the Super Bowl. And I guess I sort of want to hear those stories all first.
But you'll hear them. You will. They're not going to be lost in the Brandon Graham story.
I don't know that. I mean, you could tell me that. I don't know that.
Well, Johnny, you got a microphone in front of you. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different stuff.
We're going to talk about a lot of stories.
Yeah, we're going to cover it. National media is going to cover it. They're going to talk about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and the defense and everything. This will not take away. Also, I believe that Brandon Graham is always going to make always, with the exception of the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts situation, going to more often than not make the decision in the best interest of the football team. I don't think he's going to go out there if he's like, yeah, I'm not ready, but I want to be on the field.
I would absolutely co-sign that one too. I do not believe that Brandon Graham, with his track record to this franchise, would be a selfish SOB and say, I'm going to take the spot of somebody who actually could contribute if necessary.
Right.
So I do not believe. I also believe that one too.
You know why he might be pushing a play? He may be tired of hearing that he's not the number one BG in the city anymore.
Well, that could be. I also do believe
Brendan Gunn's number one.
I also do believe he will not be back. So that could be a big motivating factor.
Could be the last one.
I think this could be his last game as an Eagle.
Yeah,
or his last game in football.
Right. If it was Lane, we'd want him out there. If it was Jason Kelsey back in the day, we'd want him out there. It's going to be determined by whether or not he can contribute. But that's on the doctors and that's on him. And I trust this organization to make the right choice.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. What do we have on the text line, Connor? You can text in, call in 610-632-0975.
All right, so we have a question here. No name on this one, but they say at 2 p.m. on Sunday, the Eagles were the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Then we annihilated the Commanders. The Chiefs barely squeezed by the Bills, and magically they're now favored to win the Super Bowl.
We had already known. John told us last week that the Eagles were the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl because they had the easier matchup between the two teams. But there was already early prediction lines, and the Eagles were the dogs.
Both lines, the Eagles were the dogs.
Both Bills and Chiefs. So,
right. It's compounding probability, if people can stay with me on that one. That's a harder path to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to bid, you're going to have the best odds because the betting people absolutely did not.
The Commanders had no respect. They were
no
plus
respect.
700 to win the Super Bowl,
They
right?
did not
with the
know
final 4 teams left. So that's why it wasn't magic. It had already been written on all these Vegas sites.
Sure.
All of them.
It had. By the way, CBS's Matt Ryan will be checking in with us before the Super Bowl. Just texting with Matt a little bit.
Love that.
So he's checking
this
in.
week or next week?
By the way, he's checking in. We're gonna pick the time and get him on.
Okay.
He will not be in for the Super Bowl. He will not be in New Orleans. CBS doesn't have it.
Okay.
But he will come on with us and break down the matchup. I think he likes the Birds.
I love that.
I
loved when you guys had him. I was out with the flu when you guys had him on. It was great.
He also was laughing at my tweet of Chase Daniel trolling. Enjoying that one.
Do some peers?
He says, I'm nothing like him.
Yeah.
He goes, look, I'm not trying to do that.
I'm sure
I try
there's a
to do
lot
my
of people
best.
that like to express that they're not Chase
I said
Daniel.
you are nothing like him, Matt.
All right, coming up next. One big fear for Eagles fans is the constant change at OC. We discussed the future with or without Kellen Moore next because he had an interview in person last night. Also, the Key 3 comes right next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update.
Salciunas,
That blows
97.5
me
The
away.
Fanatic.
It
What?
blows me away.
What?
Today is flown.
Oh my God, that it's 9:42. Yeah, dude.
It is. We're caught up in the afterglow.
And
The afterglow of the NFC Championship. Looking ahead to next week.
well, we always talk about Pierce Phelps, Brian Heating, and air conditioning contractors who bring us football Mondays.
Yes.
Football Tuesdays have been fun this year, John.
They have been.
17 victories. The Tuesday, usually Tuesday's the worst day of the week. Football Tuesdays have been fun this year.
By the way, we saved our second opinion segment for tomorrow.
Yes, we did.
For tomorrow. We'll do in the second opinion segment tomorrow. And we have some interesting stuff for that.
Yeah, just real quick, Johnny, no Afterglow stuff. That's a Taylor Swift song title.
Oh,
it
nice.
is.
That's got to go.
That is the truth.
You got to
Kill
take
it.
that out of
Yeah.
the vocabulary there, Johnny. Good
By the
work.
way,
Good. That's good producing.
How much Taylor do you have in your...
You made him look bad with that. Good producing.
How much Taylor do you have in your phone?
So much, dude. I'm a
I do
big-time
too.
Taylor Swift fan.
I have a lot of Taylor in from having a daughter. I was exposed to it all.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, what?
I don't have a single song on my phone. If I want to hear something, I go on YouTube or Spotify.
Yeah, some people
Well, wait
do
a minute.
that.
No, but on your phone, you still have Apple Music. You have whatever. No?
No, I don't do any of that.
I have it. That's the normal thing. My brother does the same thing. He
Yeah,
just
I don't
does
have-
YouTube playlists and stuff. But
You saying that sounds
But a YouTube playlist? Like, don't
like
they
if
have,
I go.
doesn't YouTube have ads?
some.
Yeah,
Don't you have to hit ads?
I live in
Non-monetized
the
channels,
business
you
of
don't have
ads, so I don't mind hearing an
Why
ad.
would you just not have the music? Like, and just never have to hear. I don't understand it. But
It's
you know
okay.
what, though? We're different people.
We are. And I wonder how much of it is generational. I used to have the iPod Shuffle and all that stuff. I used to download
So did
music.
I. But the thing is, though, is sometimes it's weird because on certain things, I say to Andrew, yo, you're like my dad. Like on things. Like I'm like, I do. Now, and
And
believe
again,
me.
I don't know how this thing works.
That's
half
the truth.
time.
There you go.
You guys know. I have 50 text messages.
That's awesome.
50. All right, we have one more 4-pack of golf show tickets to give away. Right now, caller number 1-215-263-0975 gets the final 4-pack of tickets for the Philly Golf Show this Friday through Sunday at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks. For tickets and info, visit PhiladelphiaGolfShow.com.
By the way, I really might have to say, hey, Christina, I need a few hours because I'm so excited for golf season.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, I got a few connections for you.
Can't wait.
Go see Eric Simon.
Be fun.
Show appreciation.
I know him.
We talked about that yesterday.
Yes.
There's people that don't get enough appreciation. Around.
Well, Eric Simon gets not nearly enough.
Guess it from me, man.
Let's put it that
I
way.
love Eric Simon. All right. Key 3 comes your way in 3 minutes. Kellen Moore had his interview yesterday in person with the New Orleans Saints. So they flew in yesterday and conducted the interview last night. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. Is it announced? It wouldn't be announced from now until the Super Bowl.
They can't hire an active coach in the postseason, I believe.
Right. I'm curious, does a Schefter say
Wait a minute.
he's their favorite?
Wait a minute. Kyle Shanahan had the San Francisco job before the Super Bowl.
Did he?
Did they change that rule? Kyle Shanahan was the coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
Was he?
Before the Super Bowl. Yeah, everybody knew he was going to San Francisco.
I
That
mean,
the job was his.
I think reporting, you could say
Right.
like that's the plan, but you can't officially hire someone who's actively coaching for another team.
Yeah, but I mean, that's really weird because I know he had that job. So, I mean,
How would that work? You can't hire a guy with a different job. What he's
like, no, as far as like he accepted the job but was still going to finish out coaching through the
I
Super
think it's a matter of like actually signing and actually.
Okay,
right.
Okay.
So, who knows? It could be Kellen Moore's last game as the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know there's been a lot, we think, left on the table. I thought he had a hell of a game in the NFC Championship game, Kellen Moore. I thought he had a great game plan, both running the ball, passing the ball, the way the plays were designed. He was spectacular. The big concern with Hurts is another new coordinator. Now, I know there's a lot of people. We talked about this earlier in the week and last week as well. There are a lot of people that are like, all right, see you, Kellen. Like, if you're gone, you're gone. I don't really want to do that again.
No, do not let him leave the city. Chain him to Lincoln Financial Field.
Well,
you're right, by the way, though, on that, is that Shanahan was engaged, had agreed to the job, but was not officially signed till after the Super Bowl.
right.
But he had agreed to the job. Everybody knew he was going to be the
So
coach.
we could find out this week if Kellen Moore agreed to the job.
Agrees to the job, but cannot officially become the Saints coach.
Right.
That he'll be in one of the. But the article I was just reading here, he goes, one of many lame duck coordinators that have, for teams that have gone and taken a job.
But would you want to see him go? I don't want to just because of the Hurts thing again. I don't. Now, look, year one of Kellen Moore, they're in the Super Bowl. So, like, We can't always make that excuse. We can't.
I have not been, and no one was more Kellen Moored up than I had been, but I've been very, very blah.
But would you be interested in a second year of it? They got more continuity.
Sure.
Look at what happened in this past game. They did a great job in the passing offense as well.
Would I advocate for changing again for a guy who got them to that whatever they did got them to the Super Bowl? But when I hear the straitjacket talk the other day from Jalen Hurts, I wonder who's putting the straitjacket on him. Is it Nick Sirianni or is it Kellen Moore? Or because Sunday, when he said they took the straitjacket off him, Sunday, did we get to see Kellen Moore's offense? Or has Kellen Moore been the one that has been tasked to keep him in a straitjacket so he doesn't make mistakes? Until I know that, I'm sort of very iffy on it.
I got you. I just don't want to see another new one, even though that excuse kind of goes out the window when they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude, if a straitjacket comes with a ring, lock me away.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. All right, it is 9:48. It is time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show, brought to us by Von C. Brewing.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, today's best.
So the Eagles are 1.5-point dogs going into Super Bowl 59. Now, we're not basing this show off of betting. This isn't like a Jalen Hurts. What will his over/under be? Like, this isn't.
No, we're going to do that like next week. Though.
Yeah, we'll do our. Trust me, we're going to do our picks on the Friday before the Super Bowl. But basically, what we're basing the line off of is the fact that the people that do the line setting, the people that know a lot about both of these teams, right? We know how impactful Vegas is and how close they are on pretty much everything. Do they miss things every once in a while? They do, but they're pretty accurate when it comes to a lot of the lines that are set for props, over-unders, and games. And so they have the Eagles as the underdog. And the question is today at 610-632-0975, you can text in, you can call in, is whether or not the Eagles should be looked at as the underdog going into this game.
I'm looking at a Chiefs team that, their best game of the year was last week as far as offensively, scoring 32 points. They hit the 30-point mark twice. This isn't an offensive juggernaut Chiefs team. This isn't a Chiefs team who goes out there and just physically imposes their will on people and lights up the scoreboard. This is a Chiefs team that wins tight games. That's a quality to admire.
Absolutely.
But to me, when I look at it, the Eagles are the better offensive team, and despite Spags, the Eagles are the better defensive team in this match.
Yeah, no, by the way, Steve Spagnuolo, all the credit in the world. I got Vic Fangio. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Spags deserves all the respect. I have a lot of respect for him. But I got Vic Fangio.
But people are going to say to you that Vic Fangio has never beaten Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
0-8. And that Vic Fangio...
Sure, there's a lot of guys that have that record against Patrick Mahomes.
But what I'm going to look at is, did Vic Fangio ever have this? Vic Fangio had an overmatched Denver Bronco defense trying to shut down Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
There's a huge difference between what he's got here and what he had there.
Look, we gave the same respect to Sean McVay and Matt Stafford just
Absolutely.
two rounds ago. Like, hey, the Eagles are the better team. The Eagles are the team that should win this football game. But obviously, you have to keep a slight eye on Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. But how'd it play out? The Eagles won the game. It got close. It got dicey toward the end there, obviously. But the Eagles end up winning that game, and then they handle the Commanders in the NFC Championship game by putting up 55 points. I don't expect the Eagles to put up 55 points against Kansas City.
I certainly do not.
But I don't see why this team should not be able to score in the high 20s once again, as they've been doing throughout the entire playoffs at this point. And I'll be honest, when my neighbor said that yesterday, man, I wish it was the Bills. We talked about this on Friday, and it sounds crazy. My preference was the Chiefs. I think the Bills are a more well-rounded team. I believe the Chiefs have much bigger and better pedigree, and they have the better quarterback, and they have the better head coach.
Always good when you throw out a duh early in the show.
But the overall Bills team, I thought, was better than the overall Chiefs team.
All right. If you want to live your life that way, I guess people can do that, live their lives scared. I have no idea why somebody would look at this matchup and say, yeah, I'm worried about Kansas City, other than all the things you mentioned. Patrick Mahomes, if this game's tied late, he's got the magic right in his back pocket and he can get it done. But has anybody ever had better magic than Tom Brady?
Right.
We saw Tom Brady in a game where he had a chance with the New England Patriots to beat an Eagles team, sometimes the GOATs lose. Sometimes they go down the tubes. The Eagles are better offensively. The Eagles are better defensively. The Eagles take the ball away more than Kansas City. There are so many reasons to look at these two teams and say, you know what? The Eagles are the better team. But history would tell you that the Kansas City Chiefs are just really, really hard to beat in this situation.
All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show, brought to us by Johnny the Von C. Brewing Company in Norristown. Check out their Key 3, like the OG Pils legendary Philly Lager gold medal winner at the 2023 World Beer Cup for Best American Pilsner. In Matt Menard's studio, who does a lot of the production here,
yes,
I saw a can of the Walking on Clouds Von C's unopened. So in case anyone's listening, not drinking on the job, but I saw the can. I was like, it might go into my pocket soon. The Walking on Clouds Von C's flagship AZ IPA. And Johnny?
And then the Vienna Lager. This is how German John, when he sometimes would have to hide in the bunkers, he would do this. The Vienna Lager is the 2-time best of Pennsylvania winner. And also, too, go visit them in Norristown at VonCBrewing.com. Go visit them. It's very much, if you can't make it to Germany, go visit them there.
It's beautiful, man.
He used to have to whisper sometimes.
Well, one more thing before we get out of here. Again, Mike Missanelli show coming your way at 10 o'clock with Bill and Ray. I feel bad for the admin of the Sixers Twitter account because they just put out another photo, another tweet, like a sponsored tweet, and every reply is just, congratulate the Eagles. Go Birds.
By the way, too, I was very happy that, because I put that out yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And I was very happy that like every single media outlet then jumped on board with the same storyline. And look, we're partners with the Sixers, and I love the Sixers.
You know how much I love that team.
And you have an obsession with them.
Yeah, this season has broken my heart.
But that was an oversight on Sunday. And it's an oversight that I will give them credit for. They rarely do. They rarely their social media team is great.
Oh, they're fantastic.
That's why I believe it had to be a directive.
Yeah, and like you said, you're expecting maybe some Eagles fanfare today at the Wells Fargo Center.
I think you're going to feel like you're at a Sixers game with an Eagles pep rally tonight. And I know that they're going to do the right things. And if it's true that A.J. Brown is going to give LeBron a copy of Inner Excellence so he can read the first page and take a photo of it, that's going to be awesome.
If the Sixers beat the Lakers tonight and the Flyers beat the Devils tomorrow, it will be Josh Harris 0-3 against Philadelphia teams for the Sixers.
Flyers beat the Devils last night.
I know, but they got them again.
Now they get the rematch. They've beaten twice in the past 2 weeks. They've beaten the Devils.
Josh Harris only good in Philly.
They're going for the trifecta of beating them up at what? I don't even know what they call it. It's not Brendan Byrne. I don't know what they call that arena.
By the way, speaking of trifecta, Sirianni Love was sang beautifully.
They did a great job
yesterday. Mike with the backup vocals to Bill.
Mike had Mike looks like he could belt out a tune at karaoke night.
Ray was a part of it.
Ray
ditched out pretty quickly.
No, Ray looking at the camera.
That's the best part.
Was the best part of the whole
and his love for the Magic Johnson tweets is great too. He framed the tweet that Magic Johnson put out there. So make sure you listen to Bill, Ray, and of course Mike Missanelli coming your way next.
And be able to join our friends at Pierce Phelps Bryan Heating and Air Conditioning. Make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm living proof. Cancer research saves lives.
Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow on an